Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and the Quest for a Fantastic Future by Ashley Vance. This video is made for educational purposes only. This book is about a visionary entrepreneur who dares to dream big, from electric cars to space travel. It's a story of ambition, innovation, and the challenges of bringing impossible ideas to life. At its heart, it's about the power of believing in a future that others might think is out of reach. Elon Musk arrived late for dinner, as usual, wearing leather shoes and designer jeans. He was 6'1" but looked bigger, broad-shouldered and sturdy. He didn't strut in, just sat down, made a quick handshake, and got to work. He wanted to talk about a book I was writing about him. He'd said no before, but now he was willing to help if he could read it and add footnotes. I refused, worried about his control and his tendency to be verbose. We talked about PR, Howard Hughes, and the Tesla factory. Musk was worried about AI, especially Larry Page's possible robots. He didn't want to be seen as a villain, even though he feared Page's good intentions could lead to disaster. He ate lobster and steak, devouring everything. I tried to convince him to let me write the book without footnotes, and he agreed. He respected people who kept going after being told no. The dinner ended with him asking, "Do you think I'm insane?" I didn't know how to answer, but he already knew. He trusted me. The next day, he drove off in a Tesla. Musk's story starts at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. Two posters of Mars hung on the wall, one showing a red barren planet, the other a green ocean-covered Mars. He wanted to colonize Mars. He believed in saving humanity by solving energy and space travel. He was seen as a dreamer in Silicon Valley, a techno-utopian with big ideas. But outside that world, he was seen as a charlatan, selling false hope. His companies, SpaceX, Tesla, SolarCity, were doing well, though. SpaceX had landed a rocket on the ISS. Tesla had the Model S, a hit in the auto industry. Musk was a rare success, like Steve Jobs. He was about to write a cover story for Bloomberg Businessweek. Musk's assistant, Mary Beth Brown, arranged a visit to SpaceX. Hawthorne was a bleak area, but the SpaceX building was a massive white rectangle. Inside, rockets were being built, welded, and painted. The factory was a hive of activity, with engineers, technicians, and workers. It was a real rocket factory, not just a dream. Musk had turned a rundown place into a space colony factory. The visit ended with an interview. Musk was confident but awkward, with a fading South African accent. He talked about science, purpose, and pressure. He didn't shoot the breeze. It would take many hours of interviews to get to know him better. Musk moved through SpaceX like a man who owned the place, striding with authority, not slinking. He was surrounded by engineers, technicians, and workers, all rushing to share updates. He listened, nodded, and moved on. At one station, Tesla's design chief, Franz von Holzhausen, asked for Musk's take on new tires and seating for the Model S and Model X. They spoke, then went into a back room where a software company showed him 3D rendering tech. The room was noisy, with drills and fans. Musk, in his work uniform, leather shoes, designer jeans, black t-shirt, put on 3D goggles and watched the demo. He didn't react much, just said he'd think about it. Then he walked toward the loudest noise, a workshop building charging station towers. "That thing looks like it could survive a Category 5 hurricane," he said. "Let's thin it up a bit." He and I hopped into his black Model S and drove back to SpaceX. On the way, he said too many smart people were chasing internet stuff, finance, and law. That's part of the reason we haven't seen as much innovation. Musk land was a revelation. I'd come to Silicon Valley in 2000, lived in San Francisco's Tenderloin, a gritty, dangerous neighborhood. It was the place where people chased get-rich-quick dreams, and the city was full of excess. People worked all-nighters, ignored hygiene, and partied hard. The dot-com boom had left the city in a deep depression after the crash. The parties ended, The prostitutes left, and the tech industry had no idea what to do. The goal shifted from big risks to simple apps and ads. Peter Thiel and others said the future had been let down. But Musk had taken the Silicon Valley ethic and applied it to big, fantastic machines. He had built SpaceX, Tesla, and SolarCity, risking everything. He was one of the richest men in the world, with a net worth around $10 billion. The visit to Musk land started to make things clear. His vision and execution seemed to combine the best of Henry Ford and John D. Rockefeller. His goal to put a man on Mars gave his companies a unifying principle over everything he did. Elon Musk's life is a relentless pursuit of the impossible. He runs 3 companies, SpaceX, Tesla, and SolarCity, each with a mission that seems out of reach. Employees know this and accept it. They work long hours, take on impossible tasks, and deal with Musk's sharp words and high expectations. Some love him for his drive. Others hate him but stay loyal because they believe in his vision. Musk has a worldview that sets him apart from other Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. He's not just building companies, he's trying to save humanity. His schedule is crazy. He flies between Los Angeles, Palo Alto, and Washington, D.C., working at SpaceX, Tesla, and meeting with politicians. He splits time with his 5 kids, flies to remote camps, and attends wild parties. His life is a blur of work, family, and eccentricity. He rarely rests, but when he does, it's dramatic, like a birthday party in a castle with a knife-throwing act and a sumo match. His ex-wife, Justine, helps him unwind, knowing his past trauma and the weight of his ambitions. Musk is a man who lives for the long shot, and his people, friends, employees, and family know it. He's built something bigger than any tech company before, and the world is watching. He's not just a CEO, he's a general, a visionary, and a man who believes in the future. He's the kind of person who makes people feel like they're part of something extraordinary, even if it's hard to believe. He's not perfect, but he's relentless. He's the kind of man who could change the world, and he's already started. In 1984, a 12-year-old Elon Musk caught the attention of the world through a South African trade magazine. His game, Blastar, was a simple space shooter with 167 lines of code. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it showed Musk's early talent for thinking big. The article hinted at his ambition, calling him E.R. Musk and suggesting he had grand plans. Musk wasn't just a kid with a hobby, he was a kid who believed in changing the world. His game was a first step in a long journey that would take him far beyond South Africa. As a teenager, Musk began to think about the universe and humanity's place in it. He had an existential crisis around age 14, turning to philosophy and religion to make sense of it all. He read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and came to believe that the goal of life was to seek greater understanding. He saw the world as broken and believed it was his duty to fix it. This mission became his driving force, shaping his character and decisions for years to come. Musk grew up in Pretoria, where apartheid was a daily reality. He saw the suffering of others and felt the weight of injustice. His family had a unique background, with Swiss-German roots and a history of adventure. His grandfather, Joshua Norman Haldeman, was a daring man who lived in the open, flying plains and exploring the wilds of Canada and Africa. Haldeman's spirit of risk-taking and independence influenced Musk deeply. He saw his grandfather as a hero, someone who lived life on his own terms. Musk's mother, May, was a beautiful, intelligent woman who loved math and science. She encouraged Elon's curiosity, even as their marriage struggled. Errol, her husband, was more practical, but he supported their family. Together, they gave Elon a home, but also a sense of being different. He was a child who saw the world differently, and that made him an outsider in his own life. Musk's early years were filled with a mix of wonder and struggle. He was bright, curious, and deeply driven. But he was also lonely, often lost in thought, and sometimes misunderstood. These early experiences shaped him into the man he would become, a visionary, a dreamer, and a man who believed in the power of ideas to change the world. Elon's childhood was marked by a strange mix of brilliance and loneliness. He heard a lot, but not much of what was said around him. His mother, Mai, noticed that even after doctors removed his adenoids, his condition didn't improve. Elon was always in his own world, deep in thought, lost in images that only he could see. His mind worked like a graphics chip, processing visuals and numbers with startling clarity. He could imagine how things would move, how they would react, how they could be changed. This made him different from other kids. He read 10 hours a day, devouring books, comics, and encyclopedias. He would vanish during shopping trips, found hours later in a bookstore, lost in his own thoughts. He knew the distance from Earth to the Moon, the exact measurements at perigee and apogee. He had a photographic memory, and the encyclopedias turned him into a fact factory. He came off as a know-it-all, but he genuinely believed people wanted to hear the truth, even if it upset them. His attempts to correct others made him an outcast. He was awkward, clumsy, and often left out. He wanted friends, but he didn't know how to be fun. His parents separated, and he moved in with his father, Errol. Errol was strict, intense, and emotionally distant. He pushed Elon and his brother Kimball to work hard, to learn how to lay bricks, install plumbing, and wire houses. He lectured them for hours, making them feel like they were failing. Elon tried to convince his father to move to America, but Errol taught him a lesson by making him do chores, telling him what it was like to be American. Elon and Kimball endured psychological torment, and they both carried the scars. Errol was a difficult man, and the family avoided talking about him. Elon's mother, May, called him not nice to anyone. Elon later said he didn't have a happy childhood, only misery. He was shaped by his father's harshness, but also by his mother's love and his own relentless curiosity. At 10, he saw a computer for the first time and was mesmerized. He bought a Commodore VIC-20, taught himself BASIC in 3 days, and became obsessed with programming. He built rockets and explosives with his brother, exploring the world through science and invention. He was driven, isolated, and determined to change the future. Elon and Kimball spent their childhoods in Pretoria, where they played together in sandlots until one day Kimball flew off his bike and crashed into a barbed wire fence. As they grew older, the boys took their play seriously, even trying to start a video arcade without their parents knowing. They picked a spot, got a lease, and started working on the permits. Neither Errol nor the Riv's father would sign the legal documents, so they had to wait years before they could officially go into business. Elon and Kimball took long, dangerous train rides between Pretoria and Johannesburg in the 1980s. The 35-mile trip was one of the world's most dangerous, and it changed how they saw risk. Elon became a master at Dungeons & Dragons, leading their group to win a tournament by creating vivid, imaginative worlds. At school, he was quiet, unremarkable, and often picked on. Once, a boy kicked him down a flight of stairs, leaving him bloodied and swollen. Kimball rushed to his side, fearing for his life. Elon ended up in the hospital and later had a nose job to fix the damage. For years, he was chased by bullies, some of whom even got his best friend to lure him out so they could beat him up. It was brutal, relentless, and left him emotionally scarred. He spent his high school years at Pretoria Boys High, where he was seen as a smart but unremarkable student. He had no close friends, but his love for science, tech, and space set him apart. He wrote a video game that impressed older techies, aced math, and ignored subjects he didn't care about. At 17, he left South Africa for Canada, partly to avoid military service and partly to get to the US. He had studied physics and engineering at the University of Pretoria, but didn't take it seriously. He waited a year for Canadian citizenship, then waited 3 weeks for a plane ticket. Without hesitation, he left home for good. Elon Musk arrived in Canada in June 1988 with little more than a suitcase and hope. He had no idea where to stay, no money, and no contacts. His uncle had moved to Minnesota, and his mother's letters had gone unanswered. Musk called his mom Colette, and she told him the bad news. He ended up in a youth hostel in Montreal, surviving on whatever he could find. He bought a bus ticket that let him ride anywhere in Canada and headed to Saskatchewan, his grandfather's old home. After a long bus ride, he ended up in Swift Current, where he stayed with a second cousin. He worked odd jobs, including tending vegetables, shoveling grain, and cleaning a hot boiler room at a lumber mill for $18 an hour. The job was brutal, and only Musk and two others lasted the week. He was lonely, struggling, but determined. His family was still figuring out how to get to Canada, and he missed them. When he reunited with Kimball, their brother, their bond deepened. Elon enrolled at Queen's University in 1989, choosing it over Waterloo for the women. He read the paper with Kimball and cold-called people they wanted to meet. One of them was Peter Nicholson, a bank executive. After 6 months, they finally met, and Elon got an internship. He met Christy Nicholson, Peter's daughter, and struck up a conversation about electric cars. She was struck by his intensity and charm. He also dated Justine Wilson, a smart, confident student. He chased her even after she stood him up. He sent her roses and a copy of The Prophet. They dated on and off, and he competed with her academically. He was intense, ambitious, and relentless. At Queen's, he built PCs, sold computer parts, and studied physics. He bonded with Navaid Farouk, a fellow student, and they played games all night. In 1992, he transferred to Penn, where he studied economics and physics. He found a group of like-minded students and made a close friend, Adeo Resi. They rented a big house off campus, turned it into a party venue, and lived wild, chaotic lives. Musk stayed sober while Resi partied. He was driven, isolated, but certain of his path. Elon Musk was living wild in a big house, with Adeo Resi and their friends, throwing parties all the time. Musk stayed sober while Resi partied, always focused on something bigger. He was driven, isolated, but certain of his path. At Penn, he studied economics and physics, and he found a group of like-minded students. He bonded with Adeo Resi, who was in charge of doing cool stuff around the house. Musk never drank or did anything. He was the most straight-laced guy they knew. The only time Resi had to step in was during video game binges that went on for days. Musk's interest in solar power and energy expanded at Penn. In December 1994, he had to write a business plan for a class and ended up writing a paper called The Importance of Being Solar. It started with a joke about little orphan Annie and renewable energy. The paper predicted a rise in solar power based on materials improvements and large-scale solar plants. Musk dug deep into how solar cells work and the compounds that could make them more efficient. He ended the paper with a drawing of a futuristic power station in space, sending energy down to Earth via microwave beams. He got a 98 on the paper. Another paper talked about scanning books and putting information into a single database, like a mix of Google Books and Google Scholar. A third paper was about ultracapacitors, which he saw as a new way to store energy for cars, planes, and rockets. He wrote that ultracapacitors could deliver energy 100 times faster than batteries and be recharged just as quickly. He got a 97 for that too. Musk showed a clear, logical way of thinking, moving from science to business with precision. He had a knack for seeing how scientific advances could lead to profitable enterprises. As he thought about what to do after college, he considered the video game business, but realized it wouldn't have a big impact on the world. He wanted to make a real difference. He daydreamed about the internet, renewable energy, and space as areas that would change a lot. He vowed to work in all three. He told his ex-girlfriends and ex-wife about his ideas, even if they sounded crazy. Musk wanted the world to know he wasn't just chasing trends or getting rich. He wanted to make technologies that would be important for the future. He wasn't an investor. He wanted to create something real. He wasn't just sniffing out opportunities. He had a master plan all along. He wasn't a Johnny-come-lately. He was thinking about this stuff in college. It wasn't some invented story after the fact. He wanted to be seen as different from the typical Silicon Valley entrepreneur. He wasn't opportunistic. He wanted to make a useful impact. He was thinking about this in college. It wasn't some story he made up later. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the world. He was always focused on the future. He wasn't just chasing a fad. He wanted to make technologies that would help the... In the summer of 1994, Elon Musk and his brother Kimball set off on a cross-country road trip in a beat-up BMW. They were young, broke, and full of dreams. The trip took them through scorching heat, pit stops at Carl's Jr., and endless conversations about the future. The web was just starting to take shape, and the brothers saw opportunity. They thought they could build something online that would change the world. The best idea came from the road, an online network for doctors to share information. It didn't work, but it planted the seed of an internet business in Musk's mind. Back in Silicon Valley, Musk interned at Pinnacle Research, where he worked on ultracapacitors for electric cars and even wild ideas like laser guns. He loved the work and used it in his business plans. In the evenings, he worked at rocket science games, where he coded drivers for joysticks and mice. He was good at it, and he thrived in the fast-paced, all-night environment. The people there were brilliant, and Musk felt at home. He wanted to stay, but he also wanted to build something. In 1995, Musk dropped out of Stanford to chase the internet. He talked Kimball into moving to Silicon Valley, and together they started Zip2. The idea was to help small businesses get online with a searchable directory and maps. It was simple, but it was the future. They rented a small office, got a fast internet connection by drilling through walls, and Musk did all the coding himself. Kimball handled sales, and they lived at the office, eating 4 meals a day at Jack in the Box. The first few months were tough. No one wanted to pay for the internet, and the service was slow. Musk and Kimball worked long hours, sleeping on beanbags and showering at the YMCA. They hired a few people, including Jeff Heilman, who became their first salesperson. They struggled to get businesses on board, but Musk kept improving the software. He made the product look bigger and better, even building a fake supercomputer to impress investors. The brothers faced financial strain, living on a budget and relying on their father's $28,000. They were exhausted, but they believed in what they were building. Zip2 was just the beginning of Musk's journey into the digital world. He was restless, driven, and ready for the next challenge. Elon Musk was a college kid with zits, working hard to build Zip2. He was obsessed with making the company succeed, even telling a venture capitalist he'd rather die than fail. He had a wild, samurai-like mentality that impressed investors. But he wasn't the only one helping. Greg Corey, a Canadian businessman, became his mentor and co-founder. Corey gave Musk $6,000 and moved to California to help. He kept Musk grounded, even refereeing fights between Elon and Kimball. Once, Elon got a tetanus shot after a fight. Corey made sure those fights stopped. In 1996, Zip2 got $3 million from More Davidow Ventures. The company changed its name to Zip2 and moved to a bigger office. They shifted focus from selling directly to newspapers and instead created software for newspapers to build their own online directories. This was a big change. More Davidow pushed Musk into the role of Chief Technology Officer and hired Rich Sorkin as CEO. Musk didn't like giving up control. He resented the move and wanted to be CEO. The new engineers at Zip2 were smarter and more efficient than Musk. They rewrote his messy code and brought better structure and realistic deadlines. Musk was used to setting optimistic deadlines and pushing hard. He didn't understand the new approach. He still drove the engineers hard and criticized them bluntly. But he was learning to manage his behavior. Musk started to feel more confident. He stood up to a landlord, showed he was in control. He also started to think about others' points of view, though not perfectly. He still pushed people hard, but he was growing. Zip2 became very successful. Newspapers like the New York Times and Hearst signed on. The company got a lot of money and grew fast. Musk bought a Jaguar E-Type, which kept breaking down. He had a big personality, always full of energy. He even formed a video game team that came in second at a tournament. In 1998, Zip2 merged with CitySearch in a $300 million deal. But the merger fell apart. Musk wanted to be CEO, but Sorkin and the board pushed him out. Musk was demoted, and Sorkin was replaced. Musk was upset, but he didn't stay at Zip2 long. In 1999, Compaq offered $307 million for Zip2. Musk and Kimball left with $22 million and $15 million. Musk never stayed at Compaq. After Zip2 was sold, Musk didn't slow down. He used the money to start a new company called X.com, which would later become PayPal. He wanted to build a better online payment system. He hired people like Peter Thiel, who became a key investor and friend. Musk was still the boss, but he was learning. He started to listen more, even if not perfectly. He still pushed hard, but he was trying to be better. He realized he needed to manage people, not just code. He had to think about what others knew and didn't know. He had to imagine how they saw the world. He had to change how he talked to them. He had to stop assuming they had the same ideas as him. He had to stop telling people what to do without explaining why. He had to stop fixing their code without asking. He had to stop being so sure he was right. He had to be more careful. He had to be more patient. He had to be more open. He had to be more kind. He had to be more thoughtful. He had to be more respectful. He had to be more understanding. He had to be more willing to listen. He had to be more willing to learn. He had to be more willing to change. He had to be more willing to fail. He had to be more willing to try again. He had to be more willing to grow. He had to be more willing to lead. He had to be more willing to be a leader. He had to be more willing to be a better leader. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel seen. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel heard. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel valued. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel respected. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel part of something bigger. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel like they mattered. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel like they were part of the team. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel like they were part of the mission. He had to be more willing to be a leader who could make people feel like they were part of the future. Musk had just sold Zip2 for $307 million, and for the first time, he felt like he belonged. He wasn't just a kid with a dream anymore, he was a dot-com millionaire, and the world had changed. But he wasn't content to sit on his fortune. He wanted to do something bigger. He looked back on his time at the Bank of Nova Scotia, where he'd seen how bankers were slow to change and how they missed out on opportunities. He realized that the financial system was outdated and ripe for disruption. He saw a chance to build an online bank that could revolutionize the way people handled their money. It was a bold idea, but Musk had always believed in big risks. He started talking to engineers at Zip2 about joining him on this new adventure. He also reached out to contacts he'd made at the bank in Canada, people who could help him navigate the financial world. In January 1999, with Zip2's board looking for a buyer, Musk began formalizing his plan. He knew he had to act fast. The deal with Compaq was announced the next month, and in March, he incorporated X.com. He was 27, and in less than a decade, he'd gone from a Canadian backpacker to a multi-millionaire. He bought a condo, a McLaren F1, and a small plane. He let CNN film the car's delivery, talking about how he'd own one of the 62 McLarens in the world. He looked like a caricature of a rich tech guy, all confidence and swagger. But Musk wasn't just playing the part. He was serious about building something new. He invested $12 million of his own money into X.com, leaving him with only $4 million for personal use. He wasn't interested in just making money. He wanted to change the world. He brought together a team of engineers and financiers, including Ed Ho, Harris Fricker, and Christopher Payne. They all believed in the idea, but the road ahead was tough. The regulatory hurdles were huge, and Musk's vision was often at odds with the more cautious approach of his co-founders. Fricker, in particular, grew frustrated with Musk's grand promises and his refusal to follow traditional banking rules. The tension came to a head quickly, and Musk's leadership style, full of confidence and boldness, left some of his team feeling sidelined. Musk had made a big move, but he was still learning how to lead. He had a lot of confidence, but he also had a lot of flaws. He was driven, but he wasn't always easy to work with. He had a lot to prove, and he was willing to take big risks to do it. He was becoming the kind of leader who could change industries, but he still had a long way to go. After X.com was founded, things got tense. Fricker wanted to take over as CEO or leave. Musk said he'd rather be blackmailed than give in. Fricker left, taking some key people with him. Musk was left with a small team and a lot of debt. He tried to raise money but had to admit the company was in trouble. Moritz, a big investor, still backed him. Musk went back to Silicon Valley, talking up the future of online banking. He hired Scott Anderson, who believed in the vision. They built a website that looked like a Hollywood movie set. They got a banking license and partnered with Barclays. By November, X.com was live. Musk stayed up all night making sure it worked. He gave engineers $100,000 to test the system. X.com offered cash cards and a person-to-person payment system. It was fast, easy, and different from traditional banks. Over 200,000 people signed up. Soon they faced a big competitor, PayPal, started by Levchin and Thiel. The two companies fought for users, spending millions on ads and battling hackers. Musk pushed his team to work 23 hours a day. He kept coming up with ideas to beat PayPal. In March 2000, X.com and PayPal merged. Musk stayed as the largest shareholder. But the culture clash was big. Musk wanted Microsoft, others wanted Linux. Thiel left, Levchin threatened to quit. The systems kept crashing, and the company lost money. Musk's leadership was questioned. A group of employees plotted to remove him. They sent letters to the board, pushing Thiel as CEO. Musk was on a flight to Sydney for a honeymoon. He landed to find he was gone. He tried to fight back but gave up. He stayed involved, investing more. PayPal grew, and in 2002, eBay bought it for $1.5 billion. Musk made $250 million. His reputation took a hit. The media painted him as a jerk. He wrote a fiery email to Valleywag, calling Eric Jackson a sycophantic jackass. He defended his role as a co-founder. Most people agreed with him, but they also said he messed up branding and tech. Thiel and Levchin later admitted he was a true co-founder. Musk fought to control the story, showing his insecurity and need for recognition. He was still driven, still bold, still willing to take big risks. Musk had succeeded, but not without cost. His confrontational nature and ego had created deep rifts in both Zip2 and PayPal. He tried to control the narrative, but investors and executives still doubted his ability to lead. They saw him as a hyperbolic huckster, someone who overpromised and oversold. Musk's biggest critics said he was unethical, vicious, and reckless. But his track record told a different story. He had a knack for reading people and predicting technology trends. He saw the potential of the web before others did. He imagined directories, maps, and vertical market sites that would become staples. Then he made the leap to online banking, a bold move that others hesitated to make. His vision helped PayPal survive the dot-com crash, become the first big IPO after 9/11, and then sell for $1.5 billion. It was a rare win in a tough market. PayPal became a hub for brilliant engineers and investors, shaping the future of Silicon Valley. Musk was its most successful member. He had a deep understanding of human nature and used it to drive marketing, tech, and finance. His ideas, though sometimes absurd, had a way of coming true. He worked from a different reality than most. While navigating the chaos of Zip2 and PayPal, Musk found a moment of peace with Justine. They had fought, but their bond remained. He proposed after a major argument, then later made her sign a postnuptial agreement. The marriage was rocky, filled with power struggles and tension. Justine saw him as a conquering hero, but also as a man who needed to be in control. Their honeymoon was ruined by the X.com coup. Musk took a long-awaited trip to Brazil and South Africa, where he caught the worst case of malaria. He was near death, misdiagnosed and mistreated. A doctor from another hospital saved him. He spent 10 days in ICU, lost 45 pounds, and nearly died. The experience shook Justine. She saw a side of Musk she hadn't before, his vulnerability, his strength. He recovered slowly, changed physically and mentally. He learned a hard lesson: vacations can kill you. Elon Musk turned 30 in June 2001, and it hit him hard. He told Justine he was no longer a child prodigy, half joking. That same month, X.com officially changed its name to PayPal, a harsh reminder that the company had been ripped from him and given to someone else. The startup life, which Musk described as eating glass and staring into the abyss, had gotten old. Silicon Valley felt like a trade show where everyone worked in tech and talked about funding, IPOs, and big paydays. People bragged about crazy hours, but Justine knew Musk had lived a more extreme version. She laughed when friends complained about their husbands coming home at 7 or 8. Ellen would come home at 11 and work more. People didn't always get the sacrifice he made to be where he was. The idea of escaping the lucrative rat race grew more appealing. Musk had always chased bigger stages, and Palo Alto felt like a stepping stone. The couple decided to move south and start their family in Los Angeles. Justine said Elon liked the style, excitement, and color of LA. A small group of Musk's friends had also moved there for wild years. It wasn't just the glitz of LA that attracted him, it was the call of space. After being pushed out of PayPal, he started revisiting his childhood fantasies about rockets and space travel. He began to think he might have a greater calling than creating internet services. His friends noticed the change. At a Vegas party, Kevin Hart saw Musk reading an old Soviet rocket manual. He was talking openly about space and changing the world. Musk picked LA with intent. It gave him access to the space industry. Southern California had been a hub for aeronautics since the 1920s. NASA, Boeing, and others had done their work there. Musk realized that just by being in LA, he'd be surrounded by the top aeronautics thinkers. They could help him refine any ideas, and there would be plenty of recruits for his next venture. His first interactions were with the Mars Society. Robert Zubrin was stunned when Elon Musk, whom no one had invited, sent a $5,000 check. Zubrin invited him for coffee. He told Musk about the Translife mission, where mice would orbit Earth and reproduce. Musk was fascinated. He was youthful-looking, and the group included James Cameron and a NASA scientist. Musk probed for ideas and contacts. He joined the Mars Society's board and donated $100,000 for a desert research station. His friends were unsure of his mental state. He had lost weight fighting malaria and looked skeletal. He spoke about wanting to do something meaningful. His next move had to be either solar or space. He said solar was logical but couldn't make money. He started talking about space, and George Zachary thought he meant office space. Musk had actually started thinking bigger than the Mars Society. He wanted to send mice to Mars. His rough calculations said it would cost $15 million. Zachary joked about the mice not coming back. Musk said they would procreate. Jeff Skoll bought him a giant wheel of cheese for the mice. Musk didn't mind being the butt of jokes. The more he thought about space, the more he felt the public had lost ambition. He visited NASA's website and found no plan for Mars. He thought it was sad that the American Space Agency had no serious interest in exploring Mars. The spirit of manifest destiny had been deflated. He wanted to inspire people again. He started holding salons and hotels to bring together space experts. He wanted a grand gesture to capture the world's attention. He formed the Life to Mars Foundation. Scientists from JPL, James Cameron, and Michael Griffin, who later became NASA's head, attended. Griffin was the space thinker-in-chief. They debated sending mice to Mars. They settled on Mars Oasis, a robotic greenhouse. Musk wanted a window and video feedback. They debated growing plants in Martian soil, but it was toxic. They considered nutrient-rich gel, but that felt like cheating. Musk never flinched. He turned thinkers into consultants and plotted a trip to Russia for launch costs. He intended to buy a Russian ICBM. He reached out to Jim Cantrell, who had a complicated history with the Russians. In late October 2001, Musk, Cantrell, and Adeo Ressi flew to Moscow, hoping to buy rockets from the Russians. The trip was risky, and the team was tense. The Russians were slow, unimpressed, and even mocked Musk for his money. At one meeting, a Russian designer spat on Musk and Cantrell, thinking they were full of it. Musk, frustrated, left a meeting in the middle of a snow-covered drive back to the airport. He was disappointed, but on the plane, he showed his team a spreadsheet he'd made. He thought he could build a cheaper rocket than the Russians offered. His friends were skeptical, recalling past failures of rich guys who spent money on space and then gave up. Musk was determined, though. He had studied rockets and realized they could be made cheaper. He had found Tom Mueller, a rocket expert, and together they built a plan for a new kind of rocket. Musk left the publicity stunt behind and committed to starting a real company. He pulled together his team and decided to build a commercial space venture. In June 2002, Space Exploration Technologies was founded in a warehouse in El Segundo. Musk was ready to start something real. In 2002, Musk moved into a massive empty warehouse in El Segundo, using it as SpaceX's headquarters. The building had once been used for shipping, with loading docks and bays for trucks. Musk drove his silver McLaren straight into the space, ignoring the empty, dusty floor and high ceiling. He filled the place with desks, computers, and white paint, creating a clean, open workspace. He wanted engineers and machinists to work side by side, breaking from the old way of keeping groups separate. He called it the Southwest Airlines of Space, aiming to build rockets faster, cheaper, and better than anyone else. His first rocket, the Falcon 1, was meant to carry 1,400 pounds for $6.9 million, way cheaper than the $30 million going around. He set a tight schedule, planning to finish the rocket in under a year. SpaceX was supposed to be a clean start for the space industry, using new tech and lean methods from Silicon Valley. Musk's vision was big, but the odds were against him. Rocket launches had a high failure rate, and most companies spent billions. SpaceX had only a few chances to get it right. People called him crazy. But Musk had the money now, $100 million from the PayPal deal and the confidence to push forward. His life took a dark turn when his son, Nevada, died from SIDS. Musk didn't want to talk about it, and Justine, his wife, felt he was shutting her out. She tried to cope by getting pregnant again, and within 5 years she had twins and triplets. Musk threw himself into SpaceX, expanding the company's goals and hiring top talent. He brought in experts like Tom Mueller, Chris Thompson, and Gwynne Shotwell. He also found Mary Beth Brown, who became his trusted assistant, managing his schedule, his kids, and his company. She was the only person who could get through to him when he was struggling. At SpaceX, she made sure the office felt like a real team, with humor and small details. She handled everything from emails to business decisions, knowing exactly what Musk wanted. Musk's vision for SpaceX was bold, but the path was hard. He had only a few chances to prove himself, and the odds were stacked. People called him crazy, but he had the money and the confidence to push forward. His life took a dark turn when his son, Nevada, died from SIDS. Musk didn't want to talk about it, and Justine, his wife, felt he was shutting her out. She tried to cope by getting pregnant again, and within 5 years she had twins and triplets. Musk threw himself into SpaceX, expanding the company's goals and hiring top talent. He brought in experts like Tom Mueller, Chris Thompson, and Gwynne Shotwell. He also found Mary Beth Brown, who became his trusted assistant, managing his schedule, his kids, and his company. She was the only person who could get through to him when he was struggling. At SpaceX, she made sure the office felt like a real team, with humor and small details. She handled everything from emails to business decisions, knowing exactly what Musk wanted. As word of SpaceX's ambitions spread, top engineers from Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Orbital Sciences with a high tolerance for risk fled to the upstart too. Throughout the first year at SpaceX, 1 or 2 new employees joined almost every week. Kevin Brogan was employee number 23 and came from TRW, where he'd been used to various internal policies blocking him from doing work. "I called it the country club," he said. Nobody did anything. Brogan started at SpaceX the day after his interview and was told to go hunting in the office for a computer to use. "It was go to Fry's and get whatever you need and go to Staples and get a chair," Brogan said. He immediately felt in over his head and would work for 12 hours, drive home, sleep for 10 hours, and then head right back to the factory. "I was exhausted and out of shape mentally," he said. "But soon I loved it and got totally hooked." One of the first projects SpaceX decided to tackle was the construction of a gas generator, a machine not unlike a small rocket engine that produces hot gas. Mueller, Booza, and a couple of young engineers assembled the generator in Los Angeles and then packed it into the back of a pickup truck and drove it out to Mojave, California to test it. A desert town about 100 miles from Los Angeles, Mojave had become a hub for aerospace companies like Scaled Composites and Exior. A lot of the aerospace projects were based out of the Mojave airport, where companies had their workshops and sent up all manner of cutting-edge airplanes and rockets. The SpaceX team fit right into this environment and borrowed a test stand from Exior that was just about the perfect size to hold the gas generator. The first ignition run took place at 11 a.m. and lasted 90 seconds. The gas generator worked, but it had let out a billowing black smoke cloud that on this windless day parked right over the airport tower. The airport manager came down to the test area and lit into Mueller and Booza. The airport official and some of the guys from X-Suor who had been helping out urged the SpaceX engineers to take it easy and wait until the next day to run another test. Instead, Booza, a strong leader ready to put SpaceX's relentless ethos into play, coordinated a couple of trucks to pick up more fuel, talked the airport manager down, and got the test stand ready for another fire. In the days that followed, SpaceX's engineers perfected a routine that let them do multiple tests a day, an unheard-of practice at the airport, and had the gas generator tuned to their liking after 2 weeks of work. They made a few more trips to Mojave and some other spots, including a test stand at Edwards Air Force Base and another in Mississippi. While on this countrywide rocketry tour, the SpaceX engineers came across a 300-acre test site in McGregor, Texas, a small city near the center of the state. They really liked this spot and talked Musk into buying it. The Navy had tested rockets on the land years before, and so too had Andrew Beale before his aerospace company collapsed. After Beale saw it was going to cost him $300 million to develop a rocket capable of sending sizable satellites into orbit, he called it quits, leaving behind a lot of useful infrastructure for SpaceX, including a 3-story concrete tripod with legs as big around as redwood tree trunks, wrote journalist Michael Belfiore. Elon Musk was always looking for brainy engineers who had done something exceptional with their talents. When he found someone good, he was relentless in courting them to come to SpaceX. Brian Gardner first met Musk at a space rave in the Mojave Airport hangars and soon started talking about a job. Gardner had his academic work sponsored by Northrop Grumman. Elon said, "We'll buy them out," Gardner said. I emailed him my resume at 2:30 a.m., and he replied back in 30 minutes addressing everything I put in there point by point. He said, "When you interview, make sure you can talk concretely about what you do rather than use buzzwords." It floored me that he would take the time to do this. After being hired, Gardner was tasked with improving the system for testing the valves on the Merlin engine. There were dozens of valves, and it took 3 to 5 hours to manually test each one. 6 months later, Gardner had built an automated system for testing the valves in minutes. The testing machine tracked the valves individually so that an engineer in Texas could request what the metrics had been on a specific part. I had been handed this red-headed stepchild that no one else wanted to deal with and established my engineering credibility, Gardner said. As the new hires arrived, SpaceX moved beyond its original building to fill up several buildings in the El Segundo complex. The engineers were running demanding software and rendering large graphics files and needed high-speed connections between all of these offices. But SpaceX had neighbors who were blocking an initiative to connect all of its buildings via fiber optic lines. Instead of taking the time to haggle with the other companies for right-of-way, the IT chief Brandon Spikes, who had worked with Musk at Zip2 and PayPal, came up with a quicker, more devious solution. A friend of his worked for the phone company and drew a diagram that demonstrated a way to squeeze a networking cable safely between the electricity, cable, and phone wires on a telephone pole. At 2 a.m., an off-the-books crew showed up with a cherry picker and ran fiber to the telephone poles and then ran cables straight to the SpaceX buildings. "We did that over a weekend instead of taking months to get permits," Spikes said. "There was always this feeling that we were facing a sort of insurmountable challenge and that we had to band together to fight the good fight." SpaceX's landlord Alex Lido chuckled when thinking back to all of the antics of Musk's team. "I know they did a lot of hanky stuff at night," he said. "They were smart, needed to get things done, and didn't always have time to wait for things like city permits. Musk never relented in asking his employees to do more and be better, whether it was at the office or during extracurricular activities." Part of Spikes' duties included building custom gaming PCs for Musk's home that pushed their computational power to the limits and needed to be cooled with water running through a series of tubes inside the machines. When one of these gaming rigs kept breaking, Spikes figured out that Musk's mansion had dirty power lines and had a second, dedicated power circuit built for the gaming room to correct the problem. Doing this favor bought Spikes no special treatment. SpaceX's mail server crashed one time, and Elon word for word said, "Don't ever fucking let that happen again," Spikes said. He had a way of looking at you, a glare, and would keep looking at you until you understood him. Musk had tried to find contractors that could keep up with SpaceX's creativity and pace. Instead of always hitting up aerospace guys, for example, he located suppliers with similar experience from different fields. Early on, SpaceX needed someone to build the fuel tanks, essentially the main body of the rocket, and Musk ended up in the Midwest talking to companies that had made large metal agricultural tanks used in the dairy and food processing businesses. These suppliers also struggled to keep up with SpaceX's schedule, and Musk found himself flying across the country to pay visits, sometimes surprise ones, on the contractors to check on their progress. One such inspection took place at a company in Wisconsin called Spincraft. Musk and a couple of SpaceX employees flew his jet across the country and arrived late at night expecting to see a shift of workers doing extra duty to get the fuel tanks completed. When Musk discovered that Spincraft was well behind schedule, he turned to a Spincraft employee and informed him. Musk and his team moved to a remote island in the Pacific, Kwajalein, where the U.S. military had once tested space weapons. The place was harsh, with intense heat and humidity, and the team lived in basic accommodations. They worked long hours, often in the heat, trying to build a rocket from scratch. Musk paid for everything, even small luxuries, but refused to fund major parts. The team had to improvise, rolling the rocket across wooden planks to move it. They faced constant problems, from fuel leaks to electrical issues, and had to fix things on the fly. Despite the chaos, they bonded as a team, working together in a way that felt like a comedy of errors. Musk stayed involved, often in shorts and flip-flops, watching launches from a control room. The first attempt ended in disaster when a rocket exploded, crashing into the ocean. The team blamed a technician, but later found the real issue was corrosion from the salt air. The failure was crushing, but Musk pushed on, determined to keep going. He didn't let the stress show, even as money ran low. The team vowed to improve, working more carefully and together. After a year of setbacks, they finally launched again, but the rocket failed once more. The financial strain was growing, and the future felt uncertain, but Musk remained focused, refusing to let the pressure break his team. He believed in the mission, even when the odds seemed impossible. Musk stayed optimistic even after the rocket failures. He didn't let the setbacks stop him. He believed in the mission, even when the odds seemed impossible. He took a tour of the islands with Worden, a NASA engineer who had worked on the Apollo program. Musk began talking about how the islands could be joined into one landmass. He suggested building walls through the small channels between them and pumping out the water, like the systems in the Netherlands. Worden, known for his wild ideas, was impressed by Musk's bold thinking. "That he is thinking of this stuff is kind of cool," Worden said. From then on, Musk and Worden talked about settling Mars. Musk's vision was bigger than the rocket failures. He was thinking about the future, not just the next launch. He was still focused on the big picture, even when things were going wrong. He didn't let the stress show, even as money ran low. He pushed the team to keep working, to keep trying. He believed in the mission, even when the odds seemed impossible. He stayed involved, often in shorts and flip-flops, watching launches from a control room. He didn't let the pressure break his team. He stayed focused, even when the future felt uncertain. He was thinking about Mars, about the long-term goal. He wasn't just trying to build a rocket, he was trying to change the future. Musk was a toddler when he first showed signs of being different. He'd often drift off into his own world, ignoring the people around him. Doctors thought he might be hard of hearing and had his adenoid glands removed. As a kid, he was a loner, often bullied in school. He'd spend hours alone, lost in his thoughts, building things and imagining the future. His parents, Mai and Errol, tried to keep him grounded, but Musk was always looking ahead. He had a deep fascination with space and technology, which set him apart from other kids. His early video game, Blastar, was a simple program he wrote at 12 and published in a local magazine. It showed promise, but it was just the start of something bigger. Musk's family lived in South Africa, where he had a close relationship with his siblings, Elon, Kimball, and Tosca. They'd go on wild adventures with their parents, including time in the African bush. Musk's childhood was marked by solitude and curiosity, but also by a sense of isolation. He was always thinking about the future, even when things were hard. He ran away to Canada at a young age, ending up at Queen's University in Ontario. He lived in a dorm for foreign students, where he met people who would shape his future. He was still learning, still growing, but already showing the traits that would define him: relentless, imaginative, and focused on big ideas. He wasn't just trying to fit in, he was trying to change the world. J.B. Straubel had a 2-inch-long scar across his left cheek, a souvenir from a chemistry experiment gone wrong in high school. He was always tinkering, always building, always trying to make things better. Born in Wisconsin, he grew up in a family of do-it-yourselfers. His great-grandfather had started a machine company, and Straubel followed in his footsteps. He built a chemistry lab in his basement, experimented with fumes and chemicals, and even restored a golf cart by rebuilding its electric motor. He didn't like physics, though. He liked getting his hands dirty. So he created his own major at Stanford, called Energy Systems and Engineering. He wanted to combine software and power electronics. He got his master's and started working on projects, like turning a Porsche into an electric car. He built a controller, a charger, and software to make it work. The car set a world record for electric vehicle acceleration, but the batteries were still a problem. He tried a hybrid boost, using a gas-powered contraption to recharge the car, and even drove it 400 miles to Los Angeles. He ended up in LA working on consulting gigs and electric planes. He met up with old friends from the Stanford solar car team. They had just raced 2,300 miles from Chicago to LA and needed a place to stay. Straubel offered them his place. They stayed for days, talking late into the night. They realized lithium-ion batteries were better than people thought. They thought about putting 10,000 of them together and going almost 1,000 miles. The idea stuck. Straubel started pushing them to build an electric car. He flew up to Palo Alto, slept in his plane, and cycled to Stanford to pitch the idea. He didn't have a full plan, just a vision. He needed money. He started emailing and handing out brochures. No one was interested. Then he met Elon Musk. Musk was already thinking about electric cars. He was excited about Straubel's idea and offered $10,000. They formed a bond. Straubel reached out to AC Propulsion, the leading electric car company. He wanted to show Musk their T0, a fast kit car. Musk loved it. He wanted to make it commercial, but AC Propulsion wouldn't. Straubel kept pushing. Musk kept trying to get them to do it. Meanwhile, in Northern California, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning had also fallen in love with the idea of an electric car. They had sold their company for $187 million and were looking for their next big thing. They thought about irrigation systems and other ideas, but nothing clicked. Eberhard was bothered by the wars in the Middle East and climate change. He looked into hydrogen fuel cells and electric cars. He visited AC Propulsion and gave them $500,000 to build a car with lithium-ion batteries. He tried to get them to go commercial, but they wouldn't. So he started his own company. He built a technical model of the car on a spreadsheet. He tested different weights, batteries, and performance. He realized the technology worked better for a lighter, high-end sports car. Tarpenning did financial research and found that rich people were buying electric cars as status symbols. They wanted something cool, fast, and sexy. They named their company Tesla Motors after the inventor Nikola Tesla. They rented an office in Menlo Park. They got Ian Wright, an engineer from New Zealand, to join. They told friends about their plan and got laughed at. But they knew the big car companies didn't build cars anymore. They figured they could start from scratch. They didn't have a factory, but they had the vision. They were ready to build something that could change the world. Ford's way of making cars had long faded. BMW didn't make its windshields or upholstery, Tarpenning said. The only thing the big car companies had kept was internal combustion research, sales and marketing, and the final assembly. We thought naively that we could access all the same suppliers for our parts. The Tesla co-founders planned to license some AC propulsion tech around the T0 vehicle and use the Lotus Elise chassis for the body. The Elise had the sleek, ground-hugging look to make a statement to high-end buyers. They decided to sell directly, not through partners. In January 2004, they went to Sand Hill Road to pitch. They borrowed a T0 from AC Propulsion and drove it to investors. The car accelerated faster than a Ferrari, but the investors struggled to see past the bad plastic finish. Only Compass Technology Partners and SDL Ventures bid, and they weren't thrilled. Eberhard and Tarpenning had Musk in mind as a lead investor. They had seen him speak at a Mars Society conference and thought he was open to electric cars. Tom Gage from AC Propulsion called and said Musk was looking to fund something in the electric car arena. Eberhard and Wright flew to LA and met Musk. That weekend, Musk peppered Tarpenning with questions. The next Monday, Musk said, "Okay, I'm in." The Tesla founders felt they had lucked into the perfect investor. Musk had the engineering smarts and shared their goal of ending the US's oil addiction. He invested $6.5 million, becoming the largest shareholder and chairman. He would later battle Eberhard for control. "It was a mistake," Eberhard said. "I wanted more investors. But if I had to do it again, I would take his money." Musk called Straubel, urging him to meet the team. Straubel, a big name in the EV scene, was skeptical but intrigued. He stopped by the office and was hired in May 2004. Straubel told them he had been building the battery pack they needed with Musk's funding. They agreed to join forces. No one from Detroit would believe what they were doing. They had no real automotive experience, but they had the vision and the lithium-ion batteries. They found a building in San Carlos, set up a workshop, and started building the Roadster. They bought tools, set up a blue lift, and started working. They studied the Lotus's software, worked on the battery pack, and tested cooling methods. On October 18, 2004, they started building the car. 4 months later, on January 27, 2005, they had a working car. Musk tested it and was happy. He invested more, and the company planned to deliver the Roadster in 2006. They built a second car and faced a flaw. On July 4, 2005, they tested the batteries by setting them on fire. The batteries exploded like bottle rockets, and they were horrified. They formed a task force, moved the tests to a safe area, and learned a lot about battery safety. They developed methods to prevent fires and explosions. The early success and breakthroughs gave them confidence. Musk wanted the car to delight customers, not just be different from the Lotus. He pushed for a new design. Tesla hired designers, built models, and learned everything that went into making a car. The silver model was then turned into a... In 2006, Tesla had grown to 100 employees and built a black prototype called EP1, which made the team feel they finally knew what they were making. They used a digital model to design the car, and a British company made a plastic version for testing. They shipped it to Burning Man, where people saw it and got excited. The team had a pencils-down moment in May 2006, meaning they had a final design. They showed investors what they had built and raised $40 million, including money from Musk, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin. They made a red prototype, EP2, and showed it at an event in Santa Clara. The press loved it, and the Roadster was fast, beautiful, and could go from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. Celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Eisner came to test drive. The car was so fragile, only a few people knew how to handle it. They priced it at $90,000 and said it had a 250-mile range. 30 people had already bought one, including tech billionaires. Musk promised a cheaper car in 3 years. Tesla got a mention in the New York Times. But Musk was upset he wasn't in the article. He wanted recognition for his role. The car became a big deal, even making it to Pebble Beach. People paid $100,000 on the spot to pre-order. Tesla had some advantages over Detroit, like using computer simulations for crash tests and testing on ice in Sweden. They could analyze data quickly and fix problems on the spot. But getting an office in Detroit was tough, with bureaucracy and high costs. Eberhard made quick decisions, but Musk kept pushing for more comfort and features, slowing things down. By 2007, Tesla had 260 employees and had built the fastest electric car. The big problem was the transmission. They tried two-speed transmissions, but they broke after 150 miles. The root cause analysis found 14 issues. They had to start over on the third transmission. Abroad, Tesla sent engineers to Thailand to build a battery factory, but they found a concrete slab instead of a factory. They had to spend $75,000 to make it work. The supply chain was complicated, with parts made in France, Taiwan, and China. The battery factory in Thailand was part of a global chain that added cost and delays. The plan to make the car in Asia and ship it around the world was supposed to be cheaper, but it turned out to be more complicated. New hires were shocked by how messy the plan was. The company was struggling with production, and the Roadster was on the verge of being delayed again. Musk was deeply worried about how Eberhard had run Tesla, so he brought in a fixer to fix the mess. One of Tesla's investors was Valor Equity, a Chicago-based firm that specialized in fine-tuning manufacturing. They were drawn to Tesla's battery and powertrain tech and thought even if Tesla didn't sell many cars, big automakers would want to buy its IP. To protect its investment, Valor sent Tim Watkins, its managing director of operations. Watkins was a Brit with degrees in industrial robotics and electrical engineering. He was known for solving problems in tricky situations, like in Switzerland, where he automated a factory to run 24/7 instead of 16. He carried a black fanny pack with everything from his passport to food and earplugs. He was thorough, spending weeks talking to Tesla employees and analyzing every part of the supply chain. Tesla had kept employee costs low, but they spent a lot on equipment and materials. No one liked the software that tracked the bill of materials. Some used it, some didn't. Those that did made big errors, like taking the cost of a part from the prototype and estimating a discount instead of negotiating. The software said each Roadster should cost about $68,000, leaving Tesla with $30,000 per car. Everyone knew it was wrong, but it got reported to the board anyway. Around mid-2007, Watkins came to Musk with his findings. Musk thought the price would drop over time as Tesla improved. But Watkins told him it was much worse. Each Roadster could cost up to $200,000, and Tesla planned to sell it for around $85,000. Musk said, even in full production, they would have been like $170,000 or something insane. He added that about a third of the cars didn't work. Eberhard tried to fix it, giving a speech about the future of cars, showing a picture of his daughter. He thanked engineers and boosted morale, but many felt Eberhard had reached his limit as a CEO. The cost, the transmission, and the suppliers were crippling Tesla. As delivery dates slipped, customers turned on Tesla and Eberhard. Eberhard and Musk had fought over design but shared visions. Musk thought Eberhard had mismanaged the company and failed to tell the board. Eberhard got a call from Musk saying he was being replaced. In August 2007, the board demoted Eberhard to president of technology. Eberhard was bitter and disruptive, causing more problems. He blamed the finance software and said the board wasn't used to start up chaos. He had already asked to be replaced. Months passed, and Eberhard left the company. Tesla said he was offered an advisory role, but he denied it. Musk sent a note saying the decision was unanimous, but the war between them began. Problems mounted for Tesla. The carbon fiber body was hard to paint, the battery had faults, the motor short-circuited, and the body panels had gaps. A two-speed transmission wasn't working, so engineers redesigned the motor and inverter. It was a complete reboot, which was terrible. The board tapped Michael Marks as interim CEO. Marks had run Flextronics and had experience with manufacturing. He made rules like showing up at work on time and created the Marks List, a 10-point plan to fix the Roadster. He was a filter for bullshit and helped engineers focus. But his vision for Tesla began to diverge from Musk's. Tesla moved to a bigger facility, bringing battery work in-house. Musk wanted to keep control and not sell the company. He hired Zeev Drory as CEO, who had experience in Silicon Valley but no connection to Tesla's team. Musk began making public statements, promising the Roadster would be delivered in 2008 and announced a new car called Whitestar. He wrote a blog post saying Tesla would deliver a great sports car. Tesla held town halls with customers, built showrooms, and Musk seemed inspired by the product. Musk was under pressure. Tesla was struggling. The Roadster had delays, costs were spiking, and the board had tapped an interim CEO. But Musk refused to let go. He flew to England to get tools, personally delivered them to France, and demanded results. He gave speeches about working weekends, sleeping under desks, and cutting costs. He was relentless, even when people argued for a break. He threatened to fire anyone who didn't commit. Employees had to meet at 7 a.m. on Thursdays for updates. They had to know the price of every part and find ways to make them cheaper. If the motor cost $6,500, Musk wanted it to be $3,800 by April. He checked numbers like a calculator. He was aggressive, but he listened if people had good reasons. He fired people for mistakes, even grammatical errors in emails. He intimidated, but he was fair if you argued well. He made the whole company work hard, and they knew it. Some left right Berdichevsky, Tarpenning. Others stayed, like lions who had suffered through Musk's rants but respected his vision. Tesla was running out of money. The Roadster had cost $140 million. Investors needed to believe in Tesla, but the economy was collapsing. Musk had to convince them to invest more. He had to lose his fortune and nearly break down to save the company. He was driven, stressed, and determined. He had no choice. He had to make it work. He had to. In early 2007, Elon Musk prepared to film Iron Man. Jon Favreau rented a complex in Los Angeles, once owned by Hughes Aircraft. The facility had fallen into disrepair, but still inspired Robert Downey Jr., who played Tony Stark. Downey heard rumors of a modern-day Hughes-like figure named Elon Musk and visited SpaceX's headquarters in El Segundo. He was amazed by Musk's facility, which felt like a radical startup. Musk impressed Downey with his accessible eccentricities and shared vision. Downey wanted a Tesla Roadster in Stark's workshop, symbolizing Stark's connection to Musk. After the movie, the press began comparing Musk to Stark, boosting his public image. Musk enjoyed the attention, bought a Bel Air house, and mingled with Hollywood figures like Quincy Jones and Joe Francis. His wife, Justine, thrived in the spotlight, writing a blog about their lavish lifestyle. Their home became a hub for celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio. Justine gave nicknames to friends and even joked about preferring Veronica over Betty from Archie comics. Musk, though private, attended Francis's parties but felt self-conscious around skeevy guys. When Francis gave him $100,000 for a Roadster, Musk was amused but not overly impressed. Justine's blog offered a rare glimpse into Musk's life, showcasing his charm and quirks. The press loved Musk's image as a daring, flamboyant figure. His car collection and bold promises made him a media darling. But behind the shine, Musk worried about his failing companies. SpaceX's second launch failed, and Tesla faced delays and PR crises. Musk had spent most of his fortune without results. His marriage to Justine strained as he focused on work. The triplets' birth in 2006 added to the stress. Justine struggled with postpartum depression and felt sidelined. She pushed Musk to introduce her as a novelist, not just his wife. By 2008, Musk's financial situation worsened. He sold prized possessions to fund his companies. He trained employees to prioritize cost saving and speed. SpaceX employees were used to big contracts, not daily survival. Musk's relentless drive deepened the marital tension. He worked 7 days a week, splitting time between LA and SF. Justine longed for the spark of their early days. Musk kept her in the dark about the family's financial struggles. Friends like Antonio Gracias saw Musk agonizing over his future. He vowed to spend his last dollar on his companies. In 2008, Elon Musk's marriage to Justine started to fall apart. The couple had been struggling for a while, and their financial situation made things worse. Musk had spent most of his money on his companies, and things were getting desperate. Justine, who had given up her own career to be with him, felt neglected and overwhelmed. She started writing about her feelings on her blog, hinting at the divorce without saying much. She posted a quote from Moby about public figures being unadjusted, which made people wonder what was going on. Justine eventually moved to look for a new place to live, and she started talking about a major drama in her life. In September, she finally wrote about the divorce, saying they had tried their best but couldn't make it work. The media picked up on the story, and Musk's image as a bold, daring figure started to crack. The divorce became a big public story, and Justine fought for a settlement that included money, the house, and a Tesla Roadster. She even appeared on TV and wrote articles about her experience. People mostly sided with her, not understanding why a billionaire would fight for a fair share. Musk, meanwhile, was dealing with a lot of problems at work. His companies were in trouble, and he was under pressure from all sides. He tried to take a break by going to London with Bill Lee, but things didn't go well. Musk had a stomach pain that turned serious, and they rushed to a clinic. The tests came back negative, but he still wasn't feeling good. Lee tried to get him out to a club where Musk met Tallulah Riley, a young actress. They spent time together, and Musk confessed about his divorce and his 5 kids. Riley was intrigued and agreed to marry him, even though she didn't know much about him. They got engaged quickly, and Musk proposed again with a big ring. Riley felt like she was in a whirlwind, but she stayed with Musk, even though things were hard. Musk was under immense pressure at work, and his companies needed money. He was worried about SpaceX's third launch and Tesla's financial stability. The world wasn't in a good place, and investors were hesitant. Musk worked hard, but he wasn't sure where the money would come from. As July ended, he had just enough cash to keep things going for a little while. He had to keep pushing forward, even though everything felt like a race against time. Musk was in a desperate situation. SpaceX had just failed its third launch, and the company was on the brink of collapse. He had poured everything into SpaceX and Tesla, and neither was doing well. The world was in a bad place, and investors were scared. He had to keep pushing forward, even though everything felt like a race against time. The situation was so bad that he had just enough money to keep things going for a little while. He had to keep pushing forward, even though everything felt like a race against time. The situation was so bad that he had just enough money to keep things going for a little while. Musk made the decision to keep going, even though it was a huge risk. He believed in the mission and the technology, even when the numbers didn't add up. He put up a positive front, saying that SpaceX had another rocket ready for launch and that the 4th was planned soon after. But in reality, the 3rd launch was a disaster, and the company didn't have enough money to try a 5th. The failure left many SpaceX employees shattered, and Musk was deeply depressed. He was worried that if they hadn't fixed the fuel sloshing issues, or if there was a mistake in the process, the company would be done. Musk was under immense pressure, and he was working harder than ever. He was constantly hounding the engineers to get things done, even while he was in London with Riley. He made calls from the bathroom of a club and whispered to engineers while sleeping next to Riley. The pressure was so high that people started making mistakes. Musk rented a military cargo plane to fly the rocket body from Los Angeles to Hawaii, but the engineers forgot about the pressure on the rocket. The rocket crumpled in the plane, and the team had to fix it on the spot. The fourth launch was a huge deal. The team had worked non-stop for 6 weeks under intense pressure. They were tired, stressed, and had been separated from their families for months. But they were determined. The launch went perfectly, and everyone celebrated. It was the first privately built rocket to reach orbit. Musk was overwhelmed with emotion and said it was one of the greatest days of his life. But the victory was short-lived. The financial problems at SpaceX and Tesla were still there, and the pressure was mounting. The media was attacking Tesla, and Musk was feeling the weight of it all. Musk was in a desperate situation. SpaceX and Tesla were both failing, and he had run out of money. He had to choose which company to save. He thought only one could survive. He debated whether to split his money or pick one. The economy was getting worse, and his financial condition was collapsing. Riley saw his life as a tragedy. He was exhausted, weighed down, and looked like a man on the brink. He had nightmares and yelled out in pain. The couple had to borrow money from friends and family. Musk no longer flew his jet. He took Southwest. Tesla needed $4 million a month. He had to ask friends for money. Bill Lee and Sergey Brin helped. Employees also put in money. Kimball lost his money, but invested in Tesla. Musk used prepayments from Roadster buyers. He sold SolarCity shares and took money from Everdream. He cobbled together $20 million. He asked investors to match it. Vantage Point refused to sign. Musk called Salzman and threatened to take a loan. Salzman wanted him to beg. Musk took another loan from SpaceX. He recharacterized the deal as a debt round. He told investors he would fund the whole $40 million. The deal closed on Christmas Eve. Musk put in $12 million. Salzman was ashamed. At SpaceX, Musk and executives were scared. NASA seemed to have turned against them. Michael Griffin, a former SpaceX co-founder, was NASA's head. He didn't like Musk's tactics. Others said Griffin was jealous. On December 23rd, SpaceX got the NASA contract. They received $1.6 billion. Musk stayed with Kimball in Colorado. He broke down in tears. He couldn't buy a Christmas present. He ran to a store and bought plastic monkeys. Gracias saw Musk's character. He saw a man who had nothing, lost a child, and was being attacked. He had the ability to work harder and endure more stress. He didn't just survive. He kept working and stayed focused. His ability to stay focused in a crisis was his main advantage. Most people under pressure fray. Musk got better. Anyone who saw what he went through had more respect for him. Musk had spent years trying to make SpaceX work, and now, with the Falcon 9, he had finally done it. The rocket stood tall and white on the launch pad, a symbol of everything he had fought for. It was a machine of purpose, not show, and it was going to change the world. The Falcon 9 was SpaceX's workhorse, and with it, the company had become a serious player in the aerospace industry. It launched once a month, carrying satellites and supplies to the International Space Station, and it did it cheaper than anyone else. SpaceX's rockets were made in the US, from scratch, and that gave them an edge over foreign competitors. The US had once been the leader in space, but now it was losing ground. SpaceX was trying to fix that. The Falcon 9 was a step toward making space affordable and practical. Musk dreamed of sending people to Mars, and for that, he needed to cut costs. Reusing rockets was the key. He was testing rockets that could land back on Earth, landing with precision on floating pads or even their original launch pads. This would bring prices down by at least 10 times. SpaceX was on its way to becoming the dominant force in commercial launches. It had more than 50 flights planned, worth over $5 billion. The company was privately owned, with Musk as the largest shareholder. It was worth $12 billion, and its success was a reflection of Musk himself. He was hands-on, demanding, and driven. His attention to detail was legendary. SpaceX was the cult of Musk, and it was changing the aerospace industry. It was modern, fast, and full of passion. It brought Silicon Valley perks to a staid industry. SpaceX was the only place where someone could work on a mission to Mars. The industry had become boring, stuck in the past. SpaceX was bringing it into the future. Musk had made it happen. He had done what others said was impossible. He had built a company that could change the world. The Falcon 9 was proof of that. He had spent years in the fire, and now he had a rocket that could take him further. He had made it. He was still driven, still restless, still fighting for the future. Musk was known for his intense interviews, where he would ask engineers tough questions, like the riddle about walking a mile in each direction and ending up where you started. He cared more about how they approached the problem than if they got the answer right. He was direct, blunt, and didn't sugarcoat anything. He would say what he wanted and expect others to follow. This was part of his style, and it was both off-putting and inspiring to those who could handle it. He didn't sugarcoat anything and expected others to follow. He was known for being demanding, and the people who worked at SpaceX quickly learned what that meant. Many left after a few months due to the long hours and the way he communicated. He didn't care if someone felt hurt, only if the work got done. This created a high-pressure environment where loyalty was tested. Still, many stayed because they believed in his vision. They were inspired by his passion for space and his belief that Mars was the future. SpaceX's new headquarters in Hawthorne was a reflection of that vision. It was a stark, white building with a futuristic feel, surrounded by other industrial spaces. The inside was modern, with open areas, glass walls, and a sense of innovation. The factory was massive, with hundreds of people working on rockets, engines, and capsules. It was a place of constant motion and noise, where everything was built in-house. SpaceX built most of its rockets, engines, and electronics, which was a big shift from traditional aerospace companies. They used cheaper, off-the-shelf parts, which saved money and reduced reliance on suppliers. This approach was controversial at first, but it worked. They had to prove it to NASA and others, showing that their parts were just as good as the expensive, specialized ones. They even tested both standard equipment and their own designs to compare performance. One of their innovations was friction stir welding, a technique that allowed them to build stronger, lighter rockets. This was a big deal, and competitors like Blue Origin tried to steal their experts. Musk was frustrated by this and mocked Blue Origin as Bo. He and Bezos had a falling out, and their rivalry over space exploration grew. Musk saw Bezos as a rival who wanted to be the king of everything, not just space. He was still driven, still focused on Mars, and still pushing his team to do the impossible. He had built a company that changed the industry, and he wasn't done yet. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, But he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. He had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, Br. Elon Musk had made it, but he wasn't finished. He had more to do, more to fight for, more to prove. He was still the same, brilliant, stubborn, and relentless. The journey into rocketry was brutal. He rebuffed requests for specialized tooling until engineers explained why they needed it. He was still learning, still growing, still trying to master management and rocketry. At first, he relied on textbooks, but as SpaceX hired brilliant engineers, he realized he could learn from them. He would grill engineers, asking about valves, materials, and everything in between. They thought he was challenging them, but he was trying to learn. He had an incredible ability to absorb information, nearly flawless recall, and it worked just as well now as it had when he was a kid vacuuming books into his brain. After a couple of years, he had turned into an aerospace expert far beyond most tech CEOs. He was setting aggressive delivery targets, pushing his team to work harder, faster. His optimism was his strength, but also his flaw. He set impossible timelines, assuming everything would go perfectly, and everyone would be as fast as he was. He missed deadlines, faced criticism, and had to explain delays. He was a liar about schedules, but he never meant to be. He believed in pushing the envelope, even if it meant missing targets. He set internal schedules that were more aggressive than what he promised customers. The engineers developed survival techniques, creating fake schedules to please Musk, but knowing they were impossible. Gwynne Shotwell had to clean up the mess, calling customers with more realistic timelines. Musk had mastered getting the most out of his employees. He didn't set deadlines, he asked if they could do the impossible. He recruited self-motivated people, like Steve Davis, who worked 16 hours a day. Davis had been called from Stanford by Musk, offered a job the next day. He worked on Quad in a tent with geckos, choosing between sleep or a boat ride. He built the Dragon capsule in 4 years, faster than any similar project. They studied past capsules, read every paper, and built their own. They used modern computers, saved space, and made a heat shield that could survive Mars re-entry. They made the material cheaper, improved it, and built almost everything in-house. The cost was $300 million, way less than others. Davis had to build an actuator for $3,900 after being told to make it for $5,000. He spent 9 months, wrote a detailed email, and got a simple okay back. He felt the weight of his effort, but also the power of Musk's decisiveness. Kevin Watson arrived at SpaceX in 2008, after 24 years at NASA. He had dreamed of cheaper, better computers. Musk wanted avionics for under $10,000, a fraction of the industry standard. Watson promised it, built it, and passed NASA's tests on the first try. The system was called QQ, and NASA officials had to say it over and over, a small act of defiance. The result was a fully redundant avionics platform, adapted for Falcon 9. It was a success, a testament to Musk's vision, his drive, and the talent of the people around him. At SpaceX, Elon Musk pushed for everything to be built in-house, even small computing gear. The cost came close to his $10,000 goal, but it was better than most. Kevin Watson, a NASA vet, joined SpaceX in 2008 after being disillusioned with JPL's wasteful spending. Musk wanted avionics for under $10,000, a fraction of the industry standard. Watson promised it, built it, and passed NASA's tests on the first try. The system was called Cuckoo, and NASA officials had to say it over and over, a small act of defiance. The result was a fully redundant avionics platform, adapted for Falcon 9. It was a success, a testament to Musk's vision, his drive, and the talent of the people around him. Musk kept a tight grip on spending, signing off on every expense over $10,000. It was his money that we were spending, and he was keeping an eye on it, as he damn well should, Watson said. Decisions were made quickly during weekly meetings, and the entire company bought into them. It was amazing how fast people would adapt to what came out of those meetings, Watson said. The entire ship could turn 90 degrees instantly. Lockheed Martin could never do anything like that. Watson said Elon was brilliant, involved in everything, and understood physics like nobody else. He could solve complex rocket problems in real time. Watson warned that competing with Musk was futile. He would outthink and out-execute anyone. He called it the ASS rule, a policy Musk enforced with an email in 2010. He banned made-up acronyms, saying they hurt communication. The email was harsh, but it fit Musk's hands-on style. Employees called it the ASS rule. Musk's approach clashed with bureaucracy. He fought with FAA officials over slow approval processes. Once, he berated an FAA official on a call, calling him out for being wrong. He sent a list of the official's silly comments to his boss, who responded with a long email defending him. Musk told the boss he was wrong too. He saw regulators as resistant to change because of career risk. He believed they needed to fight the rules if they wanted progress. In 2009, SpaceX hired Ken Bowersox, a former astronaut, to ensure safety and standardization. But Musk and Bowersox clashed. Bowersox wanted to investigate a major flaw in a part that made it to the test stand. Musk dismissed him after a few years. Some saw this as Musk undermining important processes. Musk called Bowersox unfit for the engineering demands at SpaceX. Musk's intensity rubbed some officials the wrong way. Shotwell often stepped in to smooth things over. She had a fiery personality like Musk, but played the role of conciliator. She handled day-to-day operations, letting Musk focus on strategy. Shotwell grew up in Chicago, the daughter of an artist and a neurosurgeon. She seemed like a typical bright girl, but she mowed the lawn and helped with the basketball hoop. In third grade, she got interested in car engines. A mechanical engineer at a lecture inspired her to become an engineer. She studied mechanical engineering and applied math, then worked at Chrysler. She found the environment stifling, with too many rules. She left Chrysler, pursued a doctorate, and joined Aerospace Corporation. She brought a fresh perspective and a drive that aligned with Musk's vision. In 1988, Mary Beth Shotwell joined Aerospace Corporation, where she worked on projects like thermal modeling for the space shuttle. She stayed for 10 years, growing into a skilled systems engineer, but grew frustrated with the slow pace of progress. By 2002, she moved to Microcosm, a space startup, where she became head of its space systems division. With her sharp mind, confidence, and charm, she built a reputation as a top salesperson. When a coworker left for SpaceX, Shotwell visited him at the company's small office and met Elon Musk. She told him they needed a good business development person. The next day, Musk called her for an interview. She left Microcosm in 3 weeks, remodeled her bathroom, and joined SpaceX as employee number 7. Through tough years, she sold flights the company didn't yet have, helping keep SpaceX afloat. She negotiated big contracts with NASA, including a $278 million deal in 2006. By 2008, she became president and COO, shaping SpaceX's culture as it grew. She inspired interns with talk of Mars, space habitats, and the need to push hard. She pushed for cheaper launches, aiming to cut the cost of a Falcon 9 from $60 million to $20 million. She dreamed of a future where SpaceX would dominate the global launch market, competing with China and Russia. She spoke of the need to save humanity and how SpaceX would be the one to do it. She made the interns feel part of something bigger, something urgent. She knew the challenges of building a space company, the pressure, the failures, but she also knew the potential. She kept pushing, even when it felt like the world was against them. She believed in the mission, even when the numbers didn't add up. She made sure SpaceX stayed lean, focused, and relentless. She pushed for innovation, for speed, for bold thinking. She saw the bigger picture, the future of space travel, and she was determined to make it happen. She knew it would take more than just rockets. It would take people who were willing to work hard, to take risks, to believe in something bigger than themselves. She was one of them. She was the one who made it possible. She was the one who kept SpaceX moving forward, even when the road was long and the odds were stacked. She was the one who made the dream feel real. She was the one who made the impossible seem possible. She was the one who made SpaceX what it became. In 2009, after the Falcon 1's final launch, SpaceX struggled to find demand for its small rocket. The company had once seemed like a bright spot in the space industry, with its cheap launches and potential for lunar missions. But the market didn't match the excitement. Shotwell said the need was there, but the money wasn't. SpaceX had to grow fast, and it did. In 2010, the Falcon 9 launched successfully, and soon after, the Dragon capsule made it to space and back. That was a big deal. Then, in 2012, SpaceX made history by docking with the ISS. It was the first private company to do so. The mission wasn't easy. There was a problem with the sensors, and the team worked through the night to fix it. When the capsule finally docked, the team celebrated. It was a proud moment. NASA gave SpaceX $440 million to develop Dragon for crewed missions. Musk showed off the new Dragon V2, a sleek, roomy capsule with advanced tech. It could dock automatically and land on land. It was a big step for space travel. SpaceX also worked on the Falcon Heavy, the most powerful rocket ever. They reused parts from earlier rockets, saving time and money. They built a spaceport in Texas to launch many rockets an hour. Musk pushed his team hard, asking for more than they thought possible. He valued long-term goals over short-term wins. Employees worked long hours, sometimes in shifts, with little reward. Musk didn't want to go public soon because it would complicate the Mars mission. He wrote an email to SpaceX explaining his concerns. He valued the mission over money. His team kept working, hoping for a big payoff. They were driven, restless, and determined. In 2012, the automotive world was stuck in a rut, churning out the same tired ads and cars. Tesla, though, was about to change everything. Elon Musk had set out to make an electric car that didn't compromise. He did. The Model S was a masterpiece, fast, efficient, and packed with tech. It had a 300-mile range, a 4.2-second 0 to 60 time, and a touchscreen that controlled almost everything. It was a car people wanted, not just needed. The Model S was a status symbol, a gadget, and a revolution. It beat out luxury cars from Porsche and BMW and won Motor Trend's Car of the Year award. It was the first non-gas car to ever win that honor. Consumer Reports gave it a perfect 99 out of 100. Sales soared, and Tesla's stock price climbed. Musk had built the automotive equivalent of the iPhone. But the road wasn't easy. Before this, Tesla had struggled. The Roadster had cost more than expected, forcing Musk to raise prices. Some customers grumbled, but most supported him. He had to fix safety issues like a loose bolt and a power cable grinding against the body. Tesla handled these with recalls and service calls, turning problems into proof of dedication. There were also legal battles, like when Martin Eberhard sued Musk over his role in the company. Musk fought back, showing he wasn't afraid to stand his ground. All of this shaped Musk into a leader who valued long-term vision over short-term wins. He pushed his team hard, asking for more than they thought possible. The Model S was more than a car, it was a statement. It showed the world that electric cars could be better than gas-powered ones. Musk had done what many said was impossible. He had built a company that could change the future of transportation. Musk and Eberhard finally settled their feud, agreeing to stop fighting. Eberhard called Musk's contributions to Tesla extraordinary, a rare acknowledgement from someone who had once sued him. It was tough for Eberhard to put that on paper, but it showed Musk's skill as a negotiator. Though they still hate each other, they can't speak openly about it. Eberhard, though, has no real grudge against Tesla. His shares became valuable, and he still drives his Roadster. His wife got a Model S. For years, Tesla was seen as a gimmick, a Silicon Valley experiment. The media and industry mocked Musk as an abrasive blowhard who would fail. Detroit was seen as the real expert in car innovation. But Tesla did just enough to survive. From 2008 to 2012, it sold about 2,500 Roadsters. The car proved electric cars could be fun and desirable. It kept electric cars in the public eye during a time of financial crisis. Whether Musk was a true founder or not didn't matter. Tesla existed because of him. Mark Tarpenning, another co-founder, said Musk pushed Tesla farther than anyone imagined. Musk wanted to build something new, not just a modified version of a car. The Model S, codenamed White Star, would be made from scratch. The battery pack, 1,300 pounds, would be placed at the base of the car, giving it a low center of gravity and better handling. Musk wanted the Model S to be a sexy, luxurious sedan with no compromises. He hired Henrik Fisker, a famous designer. Fisker came up with some odd designs, like a giant egg, that Musk didn't like. Fisker blamed Tesla's constraints. He eventually started his own company and unveiled the Fisker Karma. Musk suspected Fisker stole Tesla's ideas and sued him. Fisker won, but Tesla moved on. Tesla considered a hybrid car, but decided it wasn't worth it. They focused on all electric. Tesla aimed to make 10,000 Model S cars a year, budgeting $130 million. They did as much as possible in-house. They studied Mercedes cars, took them apart, and built an all-electric version. They used it to attract investors and partners. Franz von Holzhausen joined Tesla in 2008. He had a background in design, worked for VW and GM, and had a passion for cars. He saw Tesla as a chance to create something iconic. Musk liked his creativity and hired him. Von Holzhausen would shape the Model S into a design that would define Tesla. Elon Musk was running a company on the edge of collapse. Tesla was chaotic, with no real structure, and Musk was pushing everyone to build something impossible. He needed a designer, and he found Franz von Holzhausen, a talented man who had worked at VW and GM but wanted to do something new. Von Holzhausen saw Tesla as a chance to create something iconic, and Musk sold him on the idea that they could change the world with cars. Von Holzhausen joined in August 2008, but he didn't know how close Tesla was to going under. Musk had taken him from a safe job into a risky startup, but that's what he wanted. Tesla felt more like a garage experiment than a real car company. The people there were young, energetic, and didn't realize what they were trying to do was nearly impossible. Musk's presence gave them confidence, and he was always a step ahead of everyone else. Von Holzhausen looked at the Model S designs and didn't like them. He saw a blob, and Musk agreed. They started over, and Musk wanted the car to seat 7 people. That was a big challenge in a sedan, but he had 5 kids and wanted a family car. He also wanted a huge touchscreen, like an iPhone, and a 17-inch screen became the plan. They tested it, and it worked. Musk wanted the body to be aluminum, even though no one in North America had experience with it. He was sure it was the only way. The engineers resisted, but Musk pushed. They had to make it work. The design team worked around the clock in a tent at the SpaceX factory. They built a prototype, and Musk checked it every Friday. The Model S was revealed in March 2009 at a press event in SpaceX. It looked good, but it wasn't ready. The media called it a love child of Aston Martin and Maserati, but it was just a prop. The real car was still in development. Tesla didn't have money or a factory, but they had the will. Musk wanted to build a factory in New Mexico and California, but it didn't go well. The public doubted Tesla's ability to make cars. Franz von Holzhausen wanted to show the Model S to the world, and Musk wanted to prove Tesla could do it. They were pushing through impossible challenges, and the future of electric cars was in their hands. In 2001, the terrorist attacks changed O'Connell's life. He was in his late 30s, had missed his chance to be a soldier, and had focused on national security. He moved around Washington, D.C., looking for a job, but had little luck. Then Lincoln Bloomfield, the Assistant Secretary of State, heard him out. Bloomfield needed someone to help prioritize missions in the Middle East, and O'Connell's consulting background made him a good fit. O'Connell became Bloomfield's chief of staff and dealt with trade negotiations and embassy setup in Baghdad. He got security clearance and saw daily reports on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was frustrated by the U.S. dependence on oil and wanted to change that. He looked at wind and solar but wasn't convinced. Then he read about Tesla in Business Week. He sent an email saying he was passionate about reducing oil dependence and thought it was a dead-letter thing. Musk replied the next day. O'Connell joined Tesla and started working on tax credits and rebates. He also drafted an application for a Department of Energy stimulus package. Tesla needed a lot of money to build the Model S. They had been looking for $100 million to $200 million, but were naive. In January 2009, Tesla took over Porsche's spot at the Detroit Auto Show. Fisker had a fancy booth, Tesla had the Roadster and no frills. Their tech impressed the big boys. Daimler wanted to see an electric Mercedes A-Class. Tesla made 2 prototypes before the visit. Daimler ordered 4,000 battery packs. They did the same for Toyota. In May 2009, things started to take off. The Model S was unveiled, and Daimler bought a 10% stake for $50 million. They formed a partnership for battery packs on smart cars. The money was important and validated Tesla. In January 2010, the Department of Energy gave Tesla a $465 million loan. It was more than they expected, but still a fraction of what carmakers needed. Musk and O'Connell were thrilled but still worried if Tesla could live up to the deal. In May 2010, Tesla bought a factory from GM and Toyota. It was a 5.3 million square foot plant in Fremont, California. Tesla paid $42 million for a large portion, while Toyota invested $50 million for a 2.5% stake. Tesla secured a factory for free. The string of good luck made Musk feel good. After the factory deal, Tesla started the IPO process. They hoped to raise $200 million. Going public was a Faustian bargain for Musk. He wanted control but would face public scrutiny and investor pressure. The IPO happened on June 29, 2010, raising $226 million. Shares shot up 41%. The IPO was the first for an American carmaker since Ford in 1956. Competitors still treated Tesla as a small player. Nissan's CEO said Tesla was a pipsqueak. Musk expanded teams and formalized Model S development. Tesla's main offices moved to Palo Alto. Von Holzhausen expanded the design team. Javidan worked on Mercedes-Benz, Toyota RAV4, and Model S prototypes. The team worked fast in a small lab, making 35 RAV4 test vehicles at 2 per week. The Alpha Model S was built in the basement of the Palo Alto office. The first prototype was done at 2 a.m. They drove it without glass or a hood. Musk checked it out, gave feedback, and the process repeated many times. Javidan said Musk was generally positive but constructive. They had to have plans ready for meetings. One scary meeting was when they asked for more time and money. They presented a plan with resumes. Musk said, "Okay, thanks." Everyone was relieved. Musk sometimes overwhelmed the team with changes. He took a Model S home and came back asking for 80 changes. He held everything in his head. Engineers had to explain things down to physics. As the Model S neared completion in 2012, Musk refined his requests. He met with von Holzhausen every Friday in Los Angeles. Von Holzhausen had his own facility near the SpaceX complex. During a visit in 2012, there was a complete Model S, a skeletal Model X, and a selection of tires and hubcaps. Musk sat in the driver's seat. Musk and von Holzhausen spent hours debating the middle row seats on the Model X, worried they'd look messy if each seat was in a different position. Musk loved the freedom for passengers, but was concerned about the design. He had a sharp eye for detail, storing visuals in his head. He wasn't just an engineer, he had a designer's instinct. He saw what consumers didn't even know they wanted, like the door handles and the big screen. Von Holzhausen said Musk treated Tesla like a product company, insisting on perfection. Musk, as a dad, pushed for the Falcon Wing doors, inspired by his own struggles with car seats. The engineers were skeptical at first, but Musk showed them it worked in his house. The doors became a big hit, a gimmick that worked. Musk compared other cars to the Model X, showing how cramped they were. He didn't care about the competition, he just wanted to make the best car. The Model S launch was a big event. The factory looked like a futuristic workshop, all white and red. Musk inspected every car himself, crawling under the hood. Employees, many from the old union, cried when they saw the cars. Musk gave a speech, handed out keys, and got a standing ovation. A few weeks earlier, SpaceX had delivered cargo to the ISS. Musk was calm, finally feeling relief after years of pressure. He took his kids to Maui, met with friends, and even watched a documentary. He didn't act like a playboy, but he had fun. His personal life was tough. He'd divorced Riley, but he was at peace. Tesla was still struggling, producing only 10 cars a week. Short sellers bet on failure, and critics called Tesla a loser. Musk pushed back, saying Tesla would be the most profitable automaker. He unveiled the supercharger network, promising free recharging across the U.S. It was a huge risk, but Musk believed in it. He and his team had planned it all along, building features around the idea. The Model S and the charging network brought Tesla a lot of attention. After the Model S launch, Tesla faced mixed reviews and internal struggles. The car had amazing features but didn't match luxury rivals in every way. Early models missed some tech like parking sensors. Employees worked hard to fix problems, but suppliers didn't always trust Tesla. George Blankenship, a former Apple exec, helped grow Tesla's stores, but their relationship soured. Tesla struggled to turn reservations into sales. Musk feared the factory would shut down, risking the company's future. He ordered everyone to call potential buyers, even firing some leaders and promoting others. He promised to guarantee resale value and tried to sell Tesla to Google, but a sales surge saved the company. Tesla made its first profit. Shares jumped and the Google deal fell apart. Musk focused on PR, announcing new features weekly. He unveiled battery swapping at charging stations, making Tesla stand out. Critics and safety issues arose, but Musk fought back with data. His bold moves boosted Tesla's value, making it a major player. He unveiled a faster Model S with autopilot, showing Tesla's potential. Musk's confidence and energy made him a media star, showing how far Tesla had come. Elon Musk had become a bold, eccentric CEO, and rival car companies were stunned by Tesla's rise. As the Model S took Silicon Valley by storm, I visited Ford's small research lab in Palo Alto. The head of the lab, J. Julie, was jealous of Tesla. Ford's cars had dozens of computing systems from different companies that didn't talk to each other well. It was a mess. Tesla, by contrast, got to start fresh and make its own software the focus of the Model S. Julie would have loved that chance. He praised Tesla's integration and called it a benchmark. Not long after, Julie left Ford to join a stealth startup. Tesla's bold moves frustrated traditional automakers. Musk wanted to call his third-gen car the Model E, making a playful lineup of Model S, E, and X. But Ford's CEO, Alan Mulally, blocked Tesla from using Model E, threatening a lawsuit. Musk called Mulally, joking that it would look ridiculous if Ford did a Model E. Mulally said they wanted to use it, and Musk warned it wouldn't make sense. Eventually, Tesla registered Model Y as a joke, spelling sexy. Ford called to confirm they were using it. Musk said it was a joke, but trademark law was dry. Musk turned Tesla into more than a car company. It sold a lifestyle, an image of the future. Like Apple, Tesla created a relationship with customers. It didn't follow model years, instead adding features one by one through software updates. Customers got surprises, not just new cars. Tesla's electric design cut down on maintenance, using regenerative braking and eliminating the need for oil changes. It recommended annual checkups but kept things simple. Traditional dealers made profits from service, but Tesla made money off the initial sale and optional software. Tesla's approach was different. It designed its own components, including software. Musk could change the look of the dashboard in hours, while Daimler would take a year to tweak a gauge. As Tesla rose, rivals like Fisker and Better Place failed. Tesla's success came from its vision and execution. In the late 1990s, the Rive brothers, Lyndon, Peter, and Russ, were like a tech gang in Santa Cruz. They rode skateboards, knocked on doors, and sold computing help. But they wanted more. They made software to control clients' systems from afar, and it became Everdream. They ran wild with ads, Lyndon naked holding a computer saying, "Don't get caught with your systems down." By 2004, they wanted something bigger. They went to Burning Man, rented an RV, and drove with Musk. He told Lyndon to look into solar. They set up camp, built an art car, and Musk climbed a 30-foot pole like a dare. He made it awkwardly, and they left feeling excited. The Arrives decided to study solar. They spent 2 years learning about the market, reading reports, and talking to people. At a conference, they heard solar installers say they were waiting for panels to get cheaper. That didn't make sense. So they made buying solar easy. They formed Solar City in 2006. They didn't make panels but bought them, analyzed energy bills, installed them, and let customers lease instead of pay up front. Musk helped shape the plan and became chairman. Solar City grew fast, helped by cheaper panels from China. It expanded to businesses, went public in 2012, and hit a $7 billion valuation by 2014. But green tech had mostly failed. Fisker, Better Place, Solyndra. Critics said it was a waste, but Musk's companies worked. Thiel called it a fluke. Musk saw solar as a big future, with enough sun to power the world. In 2014, Solar City started selling storage systems with Tesla and bought a solar cell maker. It aimed to make panels, not just buy them, to lower costs. It became a utility-like company, managing solar networks. It was part of Musk's unified field. Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City all linked. They fought big, slow industries. Musk used his star power to push all three. He had friends in the White House, played both sides, and built a real empire. He was a threat, and some feared being on the wrong side. He was a big shot, a boss, and a man with a plan. In 2014, Elon Musk was building a huge empire. Tesla had its car factory in Fremont, the design center in Los Angeles, and was starting construction on a battery factory in Nevada. Politicians from Nevada, Texas, California, New Mexico, and Arizona fought to get the battery factory, and Nevada won by offering Tesla $1.4 billion in incentives. This showed Musk's power and ability to raise money. Solar City had created thousands of clean tech jobs and was building a solar panel factory in Buffalo, New York. Altogether, Musk Co. employed about 15,000 people by the end of 2014. Musk planned to create tens of thousands more with bigger products. Tesla's main focus in 2015 was the Model X, an SUV that Musk hoped would sell as well as the Model S. He wanted factories to make 100,000 cars a year. The Model X was expensive, limiting its customer base, but Musk hoped it would become the family luxury car and strengthen Tesla's brand with women. To support the Model X, Musk planned to expand the supercharger network, service centers, and battery swap stations. He also started work on a new roadster, a truck, and even a submarine car. He bought the Lotus Esprit from the movie The Spy Who Loved Me and wanted to prove such a car was possible. He said the market for submarine cars was small. Tesla also planned the Model 3, a four-door car around $35,000, which Musk believed could make electric cars mainstream. To make this happen, Tesla needed more batteries, so Musk announced the Gigafactory, the world's largest lithium-ion battery plant. He planned to build it with Panasonic, but Tesla would run it. The Gigafactory would help meet battery needs, lower costs, and improve energy density. It would also help Tesla hit the $35,000 price target for the Model 3 and create cars with over 500 miles of range. Tesla had raised $2 billion in bonds in early 2014, showing its financial strength. Musk was still worried about the future, saying he felt like his grandmother, who had lived through the Great Depression. He wanted to raise money just in case. Musk had plans to redesign Tesla's headquarters in Palo Alto, making it nicer with a restaurant and maybe even a roller coaster in the factory. He dreamed of building multiple gigafactories to speed up battery production and stay ahead. He was willing to compete with his own employees to get the factories done on time. Musk believed Tesla had moved the needle for the auto industry and that competitors would take years to catch up. He was focused on making electric cars mainstream and turning humans into an interplanetary species. SpaceX was learning to make cheap, effective rockets and testing reusable rocket technology. Musk planned to send people to space by 2016 and fly astronauts to the International Space Station for NASA by 2017. He also wanted to build a spaceport in Texas and automate rocket launches. Getting to Mars required launching multiple times a day and building a self-sustaining base, which would take decades. Musk was rich, but still driven by his vision. He believed in the technologies and wanted to save humanity by colonizing another planet. He had to earn the money to make it happen, and he was doing it. Musk spent months thinking about Mars, pacing his LA home at night, talking to Riley, his wife. He dreamed of sending humans to the Red Planet, of building a self-sustaining colony. He imagined spacecraft refueling in orbit, using methane as fuel, and arriving on Mars in 3 months instead of 6. He didn't have a full plan, but he knew something would work. He believed the cost per person had to be under $1 million to make a colony possible. He didn't care about tourism. This was about survival, about starting a new world. He wanted to make it happen, even if it meant risking his life. But he also said he didn't have to go, that the point was to enable others. He didn't plan to fly on SpaceX's test flights, saying it was too dangerous. He didn't want to be the head of Boeing, testing a plane. He didn't need to go. The mission was bigger than him. He talked about Mars to Riley, to friends, to reporters. He dreamed aloud, sometimes teasing his wife. He told them he wanted to be the first man on Mars, but he also said he wouldn't go if he wasn't sure SpaceX would survive. He didn't want to die. He wanted to live long enough to see people on Mars. He didn't want to be the first, just the one who made it possible. He wasn't the only one who believed in this. Thiel saw Musk grow from a nervous PayPal CEO to a confident leader. He admired Musk's ability to attract talent, to build companies that inspired. Thiel thought Musk's Mars mission was important, that it gave people hope. It was more inspiring than other space projects, a return to the optimistic future of the 1970s. In 2013, Musk unveiled the Hyperloop, a high-speed transport system linking cities with tubes and magnetic propulsion. He hated California's high-speed rail, which he called slow and expensive. He proposed a system that could go 800 miles per hour, cutting travel time between LA and SF to 30 minutes. He said it would be solar-powered, cheap, and revolutionary. He didn't plan to build it, but he wanted to show people a better way. When he released the plan, the world went wild. Bloomberg's servers crashed. Twitter erupted. Musk held a conference call, and suddenly, he was building a prototype. People believed in him. He had to. He had become Tony Stark, and he couldn't let them down. He brought the Hyperloop idea to Obama, who loved it. A company formed, land was bought. Musk stayed focused on SpaceX and Tesla, but he was changing. He was building more than rockets and cars. He was building a future. In 2014, Elon Musk fired Mary Beth Brown, his longtime executive assistant. Brown had been with him for over a decade, handling his schedule, public relations, and even making business decisions. She asked for a raise, arguing she should be paid like a top executive at SpaceX because of the work she did. Musk told her to take a break and see if he could handle her duties. When she returned, he told her he didn't need her anymore. Brown was loyal and hurt, but she didn't want to talk about it. Musk said she had become too comfortable speaking for him and needed a life. Some said she and Riley, another assistant, had a bad relationship, which led to her being let go. The way Musk treated her shocked people at SpaceX and Tesla. They saw it as proof of his cruel, unemotional side. He didn't act like Tony Stark, who adores Pepper Potts. Musk's behavior made people wonder if he had autism or Asperger's. But Musk acted differently with his close friends and family. He was warm, funny, and deeply emotional with them. He protected them fiercely and would fight for them if needed. Musk's behavior matched someone profoundly gifted, someone who saw flaws in the world and wanted to fix them. His drive to make humans multiplanetary came from his love for science fiction and a deep moral belief. He saw humans as self-limiting and in danger. He felt pained by mistakes that slowed progress. He wasn't cold. He just saw the stakes as too high. Musk was open about this. He wanted to solve problems that had consumed him for years. In 2014, he announced Tesla would open source all its patents. Analysts wondered if it was a publicity stunt. But Musk had a clear reason. He wanted more people to build electric cars. He believed this was essential for humanity's future. Some called him insane, but Musk was sincere. His closest friends trusted him and helped him through tough times. People in tech compared him to Gates and Jobs. He had Jobs' no tolerance for weak players and Gates' ability to hire outside his comfort zone. But he wasn't as polished as Jobs in marketing or media. He gave impromptu talks and sometimes announced big news on a Friday. He didn't have time to rehearse. Critics like Tyler Cowen and Vaclav Smil didn't think Musk was a genius. Cowen said Musk was an attention seeker, not a true innovator. Smil called Tesla a toy for the rich and said the U.S. didn't need space projects. Musk's vision, though, was clear to those who believed in it. He was pushing for a future that others didn't see. Musk faced a lot of criticism, especially from people like Vaclav Smil, who didn't think he was a real genius. Smil said Musk's ideas were just a bunch of wild dreams and that Tesla wasn't helping the world much. But Musk didn't back down. He kept pushing forward, believing in the bigger picture: electric cars, space travel, and making sure humans could live on other planets. His companies, Tesla and SpaceX, were doing something real. They were making big changes in technology and manufacturing. Musk wasn't just dreaming. He was building something that could change the world. People like Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, admired Musk's bold ideas. Page saw Musk as a kind of modern-day visionary, someone who could take crazy goals and make them happen. Page even said he wanted to leave his money to Musk one day, not just because of his wealth, but because of his vision for a multiplanetary future. Musk's ideas were so big that they made people question what was possible. He didn't just want to build cars or rockets, he wanted to change how the world worked. Musk's work had a big impact on the tech industry. His companies were setting new standards in combining hardware, software, and design. Tesla's cars were more than just vehicles. They were smart machines that could learn and adapt. SpaceX was doing the same with rockets, making space travel more efficient and affordable. These changes were part of a bigger trend, technology and engineering working together to create new possibilities. Musk's drive was intense. He worked long hours, often sacrificing his health. He didn't take breaks from his mission, even when it meant suffering. His kids grew up in a world where his ambitions were constant, and while they had a normal life, they also saw the weight of his goals. Musk believed that hardship made him stronger and that it was necessary to push through the tough times. Musk had a lot of big ideas, but he also had a lot of problems at home. His kids were getting into trouble with video games. They wanted to play all the time. He made them read more than they played. He even made them delete a game called Cookies, which he thought was stupid. He wanted them to play Flappy Golf instead, which had some physics. He talked about having more kids, but he also worried about the future. He mentioned Mike Judge and his movie Idiocracy. He said smart people should have kids to keep their numbers up. He worried about Europe, Japan, Russia, and China having too few kids. He thought wealth, education, and being secular all led to low birth rates. He didn't say only smart people should have kids, but he thought they should at least have enough to replace themselves. He noticed that a lot of smart women had 0 or 1 kid. He thought that wasn't good. He believed the next decade would be huge for his companies. Tesla could have 5 or 6 cars by 2025 and be the leader in the electric car market. Solar City could be a big utility company. SpaceX could be flying people and cargo to space every week. Its rockets could even go around the moon and land back in Texas. Mars missions would be getting ready. If all that happened, Musk would be one of the richest and most powerful people in the world. He would be the majority owner of 3 public companies. He would be helping fight global warming and giving people a plan to escape Earth. He would bring manufacturing back to the US and inspire other entrepreneurs. But there were risks. Tesla could have a big recall. SpaceX could have a rocket crash. Everything Musk did was risky. He didn't seem crazy. He just had a strong belief. He was willing to bet everything. When I asked him how much he was willing to risk, he said everything other people held dear. "I would like to die on Mars," he said. "Just not on impact. Ideally, I'd like to go for a visit, come back for a while, and then go there when I'm like 70 or something, and then just stay there. If things turn out well, that would be the case. If my wife and I have a bunch of kids, she would probably stay with them on Earth." By the time this book was written, Elon Musk was still moving fast, chasing big ideas. SpaceX had landed rockets on floating platforms, and Tesla had unveiled the Model X. Musk had also started planning a network of satellites to bring high-speed internet to Earth. He called it Starlink, and it was meant to help people in poor or remote areas and also support his long-term dream of Mars. SpaceX would build the satellites at a new factory and sell them to companies too. To fund it, they got $1 billion from Google and Fidelity. Musk said it would cost over $10 billion and take more than 5 years to finish. He didn't give a firm timeline, but he was excited about it. He thought it would help fund a city on Mars. Meanwhile, Solar City bought an old factory near Tesla's Gigafactory in Silicon Valley. It used to belong to Solyndra, a company that failed. Musk saw it as a sign of his success in green tech. Tesla kept building its gigafactory in Nevada, and its charging stations had saved millions of gallons of gas. In a meeting, J.B. Straubel said Tesla would start making home batteries in 2015. Musk said he thought Tesla could one day be more valuable than Apple and maybe even hit $1 trillion. But things weren't perfect. In early 2015, Tesla's sales in China were bad, and some investors doubted if people would keep buying the Model S. Tesla's stock dropped, and Musk got nervous trying to explain why. His personal life was also tough. He announced he was divorcing Tallulah Riley, who wanted a simpler life in England and had grown tired of Los Angeles. He tried to stop it but couldn't. Musk kept pushing big projects like the Hyperloop and the space internet. He seemed addicted to expanding his vision. He was emotional, intense, and cared deeply about humanity, but not always about individuals. He came off as distant, but his kind of empathy was rare. He was driven, restless, and focused on his big dreams. In 2007, a physicist named John O'Reilly sued Elon Musk, claiming he had stolen the idea for Zip2. O'Reilly had started a company called Internet Merchant Channel, or IMC, which aimed to let businesses create online ads with menus and directions. His ideas were theoretical, but Zip2 ended up offering a similar service. O'Reilly said he first met Musk in 1995 while trying to get a job at IMC. They talked about the job on 3 occasions. O'Reilly went on a trip and couldn't reach Musk when he returned. Later, while reading a book in 2005, he learned about Musk's Zip2 and its $307 million sale. He realized Zip2 was similar to IMC, which had failed. He suspected Musk had avoided him and started Zip2 on his own. O'Reilly wanted compensation and spent 2 years building his case. The case was dismissed because O'Reilly lacked legal standing and he had to pay Musk's legal fees. Musk never paid back the money. O'Reilly also found that Musk got his degrees from the University of Pennsylvania in 1997, 2 years after he claimed. Stanford couldn't find records of Musk's enrollment for his PhD in 1995. Musk denied meeting O'Reilly and called him a scumbag. He explained his academic timeline, saying he had credits from Penn that he would do at Stanford but later got the degrees when requirements changed. He also said he had a Wharton degree in 1994 but finished the physics degree in 1997. Musk's past was questioned by his enemies, but he had solid explanations for the inconsistencies. He faced legal battles and scrutiny but kept pushing forward with his big dreams. Elon Musk told me about his time at PayPal and the coup that led to his ouster. He explained how he had decided to go out of the country, mixing business with a delayed honeymoon. He said he didn't stay to reassure the board on important matters like the brand change. He believed X.com was the better brand for a company aiming to be the central place for all transactions, but he thought the timing wasn't right. He felt the board had made a reasonable decision with the information they had, unlike with Zip2. He talked about the technology change, saying they used Microsoft C++ instead of Linux. He explained it was because the tools for C++ were more powerful and widely used in the gaming industry. He mentioned how games for Xbox and PC were built with these tools, and there were more smart programmers in gaming than anywhere else. He said Linux didn't have the same support libraries back then. He also mentioned 2 people who left PayPal and went to Blizzard to help create World of Warcraft. He said the complexity of that game living on PCs with Microsoft C++ was incredible. He regretted not spending more time with Max, the co-founder, to get him comfortable with the technology. He said the old system was hard to maintain, which is why PayPal hadn't developed new features. He admitted he had thought about getting PayPal back, but had been too busy with other projects. He explained how PayPal's success was due to lower transaction costs, especially because of internal and ACH transactions. He criticized Square for not understanding this and said PayPal had done things like the money market fund and the debit card to keep people in the system. He said the objective of any financial service should be to improve the economy by making transactions quick, secure, and low cost. He felt frustrated that no one understood this. He said it was mad that PayPal had gotten worse over time. He was clear about what he believed was right, even if others didn't see it. Elon Musk wrote an email to all SpaceX employees on June 7, 2013, warning them about the dangers of going public. He was worried that becoming a public company would distract the team from their main goal, making life on Mars possible. He said that being public would bring a lot of pressure and volatility, which would make it hard to focus on building the technology needed for Mars. He had learned this the hard way with Tesla and Solar City, where being public led to problems like stock price swings and legal troubles. He admitted that being public could mean more money, but he didn't think anyone could really predict the stock's value or outsmart the market. He warned that selling stock with insider knowledge was illegal and that public companies often faced lawsuits even for small drops in stock price. He also pointed out that SpaceX had a bad first quarter financially and that any delays in launches, like the ones with the Falcon 9 and Dragon, would be punished by the market. He wanted to give SpaceX the best of both worlds, the financial benefits of being public without the distractions. He planned to do a liquidity event once Falcon 9 was qualified, estimating the stock price would be between $30 and $35, valuing SpaceX at $4 to $5 billion. He told employees to sell only what they needed for their lives and to hold stock for a year to get better tax treatment. He was clear about what he believed, even if others didn't agree. The book's author faced a tough start, struggling to get interviews with people close to Elon Musk. At first, Musk didn't want to help, which made the process hard. The author had to chase down ex-Tesla workers and old friends, facing many refusals. It felt like a long, difficult road. But when a few people agreed to talk, the author began to understand Musk's story better. Each interview added pieces to the puzzle, and the author grew more confident. People like Jeremy Hallman and Kevin Brogan gave important insights. Even Musk's family, like Justine and Kimball, shared stories that helped shape the book. When Musk finally agreed to work with the author, the process changed. The author got access to key figures like J.B. Straubel and Gwynne Shotwell, who shared deep knowledge about Tesla and SpaceX. The interviews became more meaningful and lasted longer. The author felt excited and grateful for Musk's full commitment. The book was a big project that took a lot of time and effort, but the author was supported by editors, colleagues, and family. The author's wife, Melinda, was especially important, helping through the tough times. The book became a living thing that affected the author's family, but it also brought them closer. The author is thankful for everyone who helped, from mentors to friends. The final thanks go to Musk, who made the whole project possible. So, what are the key lessons from this book? First, never underestimate the power of vision. Elon Musk isn't just building companies, he's trying to change the world. His ideas may seem impossible, but that's exactly what makes them worth pursuing. If you want to make a difference, you need to believe in something bigger than yourself. Another key lesson is the importance of persistence. Musk faced failure, rejection, and even bankruptcy, but he kept going. He learned from his mistakes, adapted, and kept pushing forward. Success isn't about luck, it's about grit and resilience. Also, leadership is about more than just ideas. Musk is brilliant, but he's also a tough boss. He demands the best from his team, and he expects them to work hard, think deeply, and take risks. But he also knows when to listen and when to change. Great leaders are not just visionaries, they're also great communicators and team builders. Finally, don't be afraid to think big. Musk's journey shows that the most transformative ideas often start as wild dreams. If you have a vision, don't let anyone tell you it's too crazy. The world needs people who dare to imagine a better future and then work tirelessly to make it real.